Asia CEO is really a sought-after brand and recognition among the private sector.
I work abroad as an OFW, and I've seen the experience of how Filipino were treated that time. So I always thought of creating an event someday to really recognize Filipinos and also market Philippines.
Let's present Philippines in a positive light. And the goal is expand your business, start your business, move your business to Philippines, hire Filipinos. They're good people to work with, and you'll do well. That's the goal.
Way back when we were the poorer or sick country of Asia, and now if you take a look at, for example, the BPO industry, we're number one in the world. There's a lot of potential for the country, and if we are really going to see fruition that we are going to be one of the top economies by 2050, I think it is very important for us to really pull our resources together.
And we always believe from the beginning that this association was the right medium, the right structure, and the right outfit to really put the Philippine business community on top of the agenda for the Filipino people and also for the international community.
Well, it gives me a fantastic insight in terms of how broad the industries are and how many different types of successes that are contributing to the growth and inclusive growth of this nation.
We have to create a future where our next generation of talent and leaders is prepared for all of the new opportunities that will present themselves.
Asia CEO Forum is very unique because it is more than any other forum emphasizing that this is about nation building.
Economic growth is a very wide subject, and Asia CEO Forum always find the right angle with the right topic at the right time to talk about, and that's why there is such attraction to these events.
They connect people, but they also create a platform for transfer of best practices, best knowledge.
I believe in the vision of Richard and Rebecca. I think they have this vision to help make the Philippines a first world country in 2030.
And with our partnership together, I know that we're achieving a lot of things.
Thank you for what you're doing. We applaud your efforts. We're proud and happy to be your partners.
We encourage other companies to join in and be a sponsor, and I'm very, very sure that they'll find it worthwhile.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Jesus, our Lord and King, we adore and thank you for creating us and sharing us your kingdom. In your goodness, you have allowed us to take part in the abundance of your grace. We bless you and recognize your love and kindness because you have been with us through the storms brought about by pandemic. Now, as you continue to rise, we ask your continuous help as we invest and place everything in your hands to reach our goals for your greater glory. We beseech you to bestow on all of us the grace to be united as one in our journey to success. Lead us with your wisdom as we continue to move forward in our undertakings. Help us to see all things positively in faith. With your guiding hand, we will never be far from achieving the fullness of life, which is your will for all of us. We send this prayer to the Father through you with the Holy Spirit, God, forever and ever. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, ay masasirananan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay, lupa
We are so glad to have you with us for Asia Real Estate Forum 2021. This will be quite an event. We have a lot more speakers than we've had before and a lot more remarkable people than we've had before. So the Filipino really is worth building for. And there's going to be a lot happening in this industry over the next couple of years as things pull back stronger than ever. So hang on to yourself. There's a lot of room, a lot of information to cover, and we're going to try to get through all of it. So glad to have you with you for Asia Real Estate Forum 2021. Let's open this event with our friend Vince Abejo, the Chief Sales and Marketing Officer of Philinvest Land. And if you don't know, Philinvest is a huge organization and a huge footprint across the country. Over 250 ongoing developments, creating townships and developments, condos, BPO hubs, on and on and on. So Vince is a busy guy, so we're glad to have him open the event. So welcome, Vince Abejo of Philinvest Land. Glad to have you, Vince.
Thanks, Richard. I'm Vince Abejo, the Chief Sales and Marketing Officer of Philinvest Land. To our viewers, guests, fellow industry players, friends in media, and esteemed speakers, a very warm welcome to the 2021 Asia CEO Real Estate Forum. We at Philinvest are honored to be part of this year's event, where shakers and movers of the industry come together to share ideas and make them come alive. About 18 months ago, we were hit by an unprecedented crisis that made the world freeze and fall on its knees. In its destructive path, a virus kept us contained in our homes and wreaked havoc on everything we held dear: our families, relationships, livelihoods, dreams, and future. This period was a test of resilience, leadership, and community. We all needed to come together as one, and so we did. After all, resilience and bayanihan are deeply rooted in us Filipinos. This year's Asia CEO Real Estate Forum is a celebration of how all of us, as members of this industry, turn the proverbial lemons into a thirst-quenching lemonade. Today, we will hear straight from our leaders how they navigated through the crisis, how the industry came together to help Filipinos thrive in a post-COVID world, how the industry played its part in advancing the country's economy, discover new market trends and customer behaviors in the new normal, learn how smart cities and green designs evolved to adapt to our new world, hear government's priority infrastructure programs. I encourage you to watch and listen to how different sectors of the real estate industry stopped, learned, recalibrated, and reinvented themselves to emerge even stronger in the new normal. Again, a very warm welcome, and please enjoy today's session.
Let's get going with Asia Real Estate Forum 2021. And our first speaker, we're so pleased to have Tristan Las Marias. His formal title is Executive Vice President and Chief Strategy Officer of Philinvest. And yeah, a really big, a big operator in the real estate sector in Philippines, 20 years with Philinvest, so it's a good employee relationship, as they say. He also heads the residential business for the organization. So let's get going with Tristan Las Marias of Philinvest Land. Glad to have you, Tristan.
Thank you for inviting us to your Asia CEO Real Estate Forum. Philinvest is a big fan of your Asia CEO events. We're always excited to participate in your mission to promote the Philippines as a premier business destination to global decision makers. Way to go. You know, calling COVID-19 a challenge is an understatement. In Philinvest, this is by far the biggest crisis that we have come across, and we have been in business for 66 years. The scope and scale of the impact is just phenomenal. It was not a mere financial crisis, it was a global health crisis. And then no nation, no industry was spared. Real estate was one of the most severely affected as it was largely dependent on mobility. We are just thankful, Richard, that we were able to navigate our way out of it quickly. I'm sure our challenges were similar to what others experienced, but what I uniquely remember during the onset of the pandemic was that everybody was scared. As an individual and as a company, we were scared of the uncertainties, and it tested our resolve on how to respond meaningfully to the forthcoming disruption. You know, real estate is traditionally an in-person business. Whether for residences, offices, or malls, you have to bring clients physically on site. You have to construct these projects, and you need a large group of workers on site to complete the job. All the other product delivery and customer fulfillment activities are in person as well. I'm sure all your HSCO events before 2020 were in person too, right? Not compared to this. Big adjustments. So once the pandemic hit Manila, Philinvest was ready, and immediately we formed our crisis mitigation teams, which ranged from digitization, cash flow management, sanitation, and testing protocols. This allowed us to seamlessly continue our operations and support our customers in Philinvest. We tightened our belts too. We rationalized our use of funds. We rolled back on some launches and focused on rolling out only on projects that will maintain our market share and presence. We knew we had to implement financial adjustments to protect the business and sustain the corporation. The public health problem was so intertwined with the economy, and the impact was global. And to overcome this public health problem, we felt we all have to come together and help. It was no surprise that many in the private sector felt the same way and reached out to government to help. For our part, Philinvest and the Gutianon Foundations set aside a 100 million peso war chest for this effort. We knew from other developed countries that dashboard and data warehousing for COVID cases were vital to effectively handle the crisis. Our Philinvest City Foundation offered to provide it at no cost to the government. Several agencies started working with our designated data science and analytics provider. This is Thinking Machine. And in less than 2 weeks, the DOH COVID-19 dashboard and data warehouse were up, providing vital real-time information to all. We are thankful that despite the challenges, the Philinvest Group performed relatively well in 2020. Despite reducing our net income, we emerged among the top 10 conglomerates in terms of profitability. We were top 6 to be exact. This result from reactive pandemic measures and decisions made many years ago. Lessons learned from previous crises. It was a combination of diversification strategies and financial prudence. We balance our business cyclical and defensive segments, and we manage our leverage and spread out our maturities. We also learned that because we lived up to our commitments to our banks and bond investors during the Asian crisis of the past, they in turn continue to support us in future problems. During these times, setting aside a cash hoard is imperative. FDC went about raising $200 million of bond and FLI an 8 billion peso local bond issue at favorable rates as evidence of investors' continued trust in our group. In our residential or real estate business, we knew early that going online was key to business growth. Our foresight paid dividends. Our early investments in IT solutions that allowed us to reach our customers and business partners online came very handy during the pandemic. We're one of the first in the industry to roll out online customer service desks, web-based selling marketing portals, online billings, and e-settle platforms for contractors and business partners. Our homeowners and rental business tenants also enjoy the convenience of our PhilInvest Property Management online app. It allowed our community members to request services, pay for these services, and track progress, all in the comforts of their mobile phones. We had to be agile. Agile is always the key word during pandemic, and we had to react fast. Our hospitality business was not spared and had to reinvent itself to be relevant during COVID. It created a bubble environment that supported the PBA and the FIBA basketball tournaments last year. Lastly, it was our people that helped us survive. Our employees generously supported all our business adjustments. When our employees saw that we were putting their health and safety first and foremost, they gifted us back with more resolve and harder work. This allowed our company to continue fulfilling our obligations and services to our customers and eventually reinforce our claim that we were a sustainable company. You know, COVID-19 is a personal health risk, and this is why our workplace and employee safety immediately became our first and most important responsibility. We had to redesign our workspace, ensure that it confirmed with government-prescribed social distancing and safety measures. We put in place testing protocols. This is important. We started by taking a survey to understand better each of the employees' living conditions, how they commute, and the likelihood of being infected at home. We provided the tools to work better at home. We kept in mind their mental health. We rolled out e-learning leadership training and pushed participation in our esports fest. We even have online Friday masses and prayer brigades for employees to offer thanksgiving and special healing intentions. We launched PhilVax, or PhilInvest Vaccination Program, which aimed to introduce a free nationwide vaccination program for our employees in the group. In some areas where we had spare, our employees' relatives and friends were included too. PhilVax targeted to vaccinate 100% of our workforce, and at present, we have already vaccinated 90% of our workforce and have attained a per business area herd immunity as early as September this year. We have also continued to help government in its national vaccination drive. To this end, we have procured an additional 50,000 doses of AstraZeneca and donated these vaccines to the government for use in various local governments across the country. We had to undertake directional pivots in business too as part of our adjustments, Richard. This crisis made us more agile. Our business plans have taken a much shorter and more agile approach to anticipate headwinds. We have accelerated our green initiatives, our digital push, and our partnership platforms. Our East West Bank launched COMO during the pandemic, the first digital bank approved by the Philippine Central Bank for a local universal bank. Aside from a slew of digital products to make banking easier, FDEV, our digital arm, launched the first SEC-approved crowdfunding license for a digital platform to finance SMEs. While we have been more selective in the new property launches, we have accelerated the latest facet of our business on environmentally sustainable investments, such as recycled water, desalination, solar roof panels, and district cooling with our partners NG and Hitachi. The crisis likewise saw the interest of investors looking for higher yielding instruments than savings and time deposits. It was just in August this year when PhilInvest entered the REIT market through its office leasing subsidiary, Philinvest REIT Corp, or PhilREIT, also known as a sustainability REIT. It cements our group's direction as a value-creating asset developer with a green agenda. Philinvest Land, its sponsor company, has institutionalized sustainability in its office and residential developments, keeping in mind the increasing concerns of customers on health and well-being brought about by the pandemic. Despite what we have been through, do we see opportunities ahead? Definitely. We expect that by the end of 2022, we shall be back at pre-pandemic levels in the real estate business, and more particularly in our hospitality business due to the easing domestic and international travel restrictions. Our growth drivers are still largely dependent on consumer spending brought about by our country's OFWs and BPOs. We're hoping that the election economy will help boost spending too next year. We hope that the next administration will continue the government's current expansionary fiscal policy. For Philinvest Land, we see a lot of new wave cities sprouting, and we would like to continue our targeted expansion where new markets are promising and emerging. In the next 5 years, we also see Philinvest building a more robust presence in an eco-sustainable solutions provider, more particularly in support of our companies to attain its own sustainability goals. We also see ourselves venturing more into the power and water sectors, capitalizing our partnership with NG Philippines and Hitachi Aquatech to provide technically robust and commercially sound green solutions in the real estate ecosystem. In closing, we have just witnessed two of the most challenging years that our country has gone through. Almost 2 years after the first infection hit our country, Richard, the story is now different. The narrative is flushed with anecdotes of business rebound as more people are traveling and mobility has returned and slowly steering economic activities. Leadership, I guess, is to each his own. It depends on the organization and the industry dynamics that you are matched with. However, at a minimum, our surmise, leaders need to be agile. Data and evidence should be a must in making decisions, and when decisions are made, leaders must act with resolve. In Philinvest, our ability to work together made us more resilient, and our employees' sense of family made the challenging days feel easier. It's not over. We know that. These are new opportunities for leaders to show empathy to their customers and equally to their employees. Survival is a partnership. Our readiness and capability to survive the next disruption will now be a combination of technology and people. Let us invest in both heavily. Thank you, Richard. Thank you for inviting us again.
Very good. Thank you, Tristan. Yeah, that was a good broad overview that, I appreciate. Now, Tristan, can I ask you a question, though? For you yourself, I mean, you're a pretty well-connected guy. You have a large group with you. How are you working and the people you know? Are you now going back to the office, starting to, or are you still working from home? What do you see with all that?
For one, we're going back to the office.
Okay.
As we see the vaccination rate getting higher and more of our employees are vaccinated, as I've mentioned, we're almost 90% in all business areas where we had herd immunity, we're going back. Productivity is different. But, going back to the office is a slippery slope, right? I'm sure a lot of our people got used to the convenience of working from home. So we try to strike a balance too, looking at the welfare of both the employees and the company. I'm sure there's a win-win solution somewhere there.
Yes, okay, it's hard to say. And the other thing, from a business perspective, Tristan, now, we're hearing a lot of good indications that really by, early next year, we're going to be really back to a strong economy. Others are still moaning a bit, but what do you see in here, you and your friends, and within your large organization? Because you represent a big, a measurable part of the GDP of the nation. So, in all your different businesses. So what do you see in all that, Tristan?
Um, I think we're at the upswing of the rebound or the V curve. As evidence for our residential business, our monthly average option sales is almost the same already as pre-pandemic or getting closer to that,
I see.
right? So, and it's just the tail end of 2021. We feel that as the economy continues to open up, it's going to get better. And then we're just excited about it.
Yeah, it seems everybody's getting excited. So I'm glad to hear you say the same thing, Tristan, because sometimes, you get worried. But it does seem everybody really is coming around. And even in the hospitality industry, I was pleased. I happened to speak with your guy, James Montenegro, and I was pleased to hear he is optimistic too. So, Tristan, so thank you very much. That was a very good overall broad presentation. And a good way to start the event. So thank you again, and really good to see you looking good.
Thank you, Richard. More power to Asia CEO.
Super. Thank you. Let's go, Nick, to our next speaker is Michael McCullough, the CEO of KMC Group. And this is an interesting story. Mike and his group built this company from scratch. It's now clearly one of the nation's premier commercial real estate advisory firms, and he works with major companies around the world in setting up their and expanding their operations in the nation. He's also special in that he is the only two-time winner of awards at Asia CEO Awards. He won the Young Leader of the Year award a few years ago, and most recently the Expatriate Executive of the Year. So, yeah, a very special guy and a very special story. Please welcome Mike McCullough, CEO of KMC Group. Glad to have you, Mike.
Thank you, Richard, for that introduction. And I didn't know I was the only two-time winner. So that's definitely a recognition that the team deserves, not just me. So we're going to talk a little bit about real estate today, and I prepared a couple of slides. One of the more interesting things that's happening in the market is all of a sudden we have 5G coming in, we have everybody working from home, and our data consumption, particularly in the Philippines, is booming. So a bunch of foreign data center operators are currently looking to invest in the country. I've got a list of at least 10 that are looking to come in within the next year. And right now, it's one of the newer kind of real estate categories, and it's largely run by the telco providers, the ePLDT, Globe, Converge, and we'll see roughly 50,000 square meters of rack space in this segment. Globe, PLDT, really the dominant players. Of course, they're across the Philippines and Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. One of the newest operators to enter the market was B Infotech, and they opened the country's largest carrier-neutral data center in Pasig, and it's around 20,000 square meters for their co-location services. And what's really driving this demand is increased digitalization, more fiber. In fact, I just recently got fiber to the home, and the addition of 5G. So as Filipinos become more tech savvy, consume more content like Netflix and YouTube, it's become a really attractive market for data center investments. And this is just a little glimpse of kind of what's happening. The majority of the data center space is in Metro Manila and will continue to be so. The largest operator is really ePLDT, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, B Infotech came in, and then you've got Globe kind of coming in third place. But we're going to see massive investments in this space over the next 2 to 3 years. I want to talk about the residential market a little bit. A lot of questions have come up. We finally started to see the prices come back. The market, the BSP's index has been up and down a couple times throughout the year. It went up 20%, it dropped 25%. It's now kind of stabilized. And we think it's really volatile because there's so few data points that the BSP happens to have. The high end and the luxury segments, they continue to dictate the market. They're still growing at a healthy kind of 1% quarter over quarter growth. The secondary market is what we really track. We try to track that the closest because that kind of tells you where the true market's at. And prices in the fringe areas pull down overall performance. The pre-selling and ready for occupancy is still, one of the top performers. And this is going to be a reflection of where people are working. We've seen a lot of people move out of CBDs and move into the South or some other house and lot areas. And those prices have risen a lot faster than vertical condominiums have. Co-working foot traffic has finally kind of reached double-digit rates. And so a company may be fully leased out, like for example, KMC Solutions, we might be fully leased out, but 10 to 15% of the people were only coming in. And, this is a bit concerning because the ground floor retail locators, it's really hard to run a coffee shop when the company above you only has 10 to 15% back in the office. So we're now at 20+%. Some locations were at 35, particularly outside, like in Cebu and up in Clark. So as BPOs slowly come back into to the office, less people are doing the work from home. We'll also see something around PEZA regulations, which are currently allowing 90% of companies to work from home, with 10% in that PEZA zone. Like foot traffic across all buildings, not just our own, is being watched very closely by developers to see if what happens with those renewal rates. What happens if a company has 5 floors or 2 floors? Are they going to renew both, or are they going to downsize and give back one? So overall, we're really as an operator, we're really bullish, and we expect the hybrid model to be kind of the future of work. We saw kind of a V-shaped recovery in our own business. It dropped kind of February of this year was really kind of the low point. And since then, it's just been on a tear right back up. Some of our locations are exceeding 90% occupancy rates. Occupancy is different than foot traffic. So when you go in there, sometimes the sites can look a little quiet, but it is rented and companies are using it. We've also, as KMC Solutions, we've also established KMC Flex, where we've partnered with Philippine resorts, and we allow our staff, clients, and members to work from hotels at discounted rates. We were kind of pioneers in this space. We saw a lot of people that were struggling with just being locked up in the city and wanting to get out and be have some sand between their toes. So we thought that this was really interesting concept, and a lot of our clients are calling us up and they want to book space for their teams of like 5 people. Some of them haven't even met each other since they started with the company, and some want to just go somewhere and work remotely while hanging out with their colleagues. So this has been pretty popular. And really, what's happening with the office transactions? New leases are largely taken up by BPOs as the industry continues to expand due to accelerated digitization and globalization. E-commerce has led the office demand. Shopee, Lazada, all those guys are still growing, and they've taken up office space even if they're not using it, which is pretty interesting. The majority of these transactions are happening actually in Ortigas, followed shortly by BGC. The Bay Area is still seeing some activity. Quezon City, the fringe of Makati CBD. The C5 corridor has been a lot more quieter. The fringe of Ortigas has been a bit more quieter. Alabang's still hanging in there, but generally been pretty quiet. And Ilo's been actually one to watch. There's been a ton of office transactions in Ilo. We've been very active doing deals down there. and it's good to see that place really blow up. It shows very, very well, and it's just a different labor market, which is increasingly attractive. COVID-19 definitely has some effects on POGOs. We also see the new tax requirement. The tax requirement issue isn't so much a above the line tax. They can pay that. It's what happens with all the red tape and the bribes that and shakedowns that happens to POGOs. That's why they also want to leave. It's just, it hasn't become profitable. They can't get Chinese employees in the country, and they're continuing to shed office space, sadly. So, and continue to leave the Bay Area and entertainment city. The last, my last slide is talking about the industrial sector. That's been a really interesting space for us. Warehousing has, been in the limelight. It's really popular due to all the e-commerce that's happening in the country. I think we've more than doubled our e-commerce sales in the last year, so it's just really on a tear. We've moved from just-in-time to just-in-case strategies as well. So companies are starting to warehouse a lot more items and not just bringing in last minute. Warehousing for 3PLs, which is third-party logistics, a lot of take up there. We're seeing cold storage increase. That's pretty fun. We did one of our first cold storage deals, and for a grocery chain. And also we're seeing, these vaccines have to be stored in very cool environments. The Philippines is seeing some benefits from the China Plus One strategy. We haven't seen a lot, but there are some manufacturers that are coming in here, light industrial, that are coming in here. They do make pretty sizable investments. They'll sign leases for 10 or 15 years. So that's really great to see for the country, and it's good for our labor market here. And the benefits of the Philippines is really location. We also have a great flag for exporting to countries like the United States versus say China, and we're part of ASEAN. So yeah, overall the industrial sector is one of the limelights that for the country.
All right, that was Michael McCullough of KMC Group. We've watched him for years and grow from a small organization and a small guy, you might say, too. Today, he is definitely neither, both him or his organization. They've really made a big contribution to the nation's development. So thank you again, Michael McCullough. Very few industries have been impacted as much as the hospitality sector during the pandemic. So I'm so pleased to have our next speaker, James Montenegro, the country head for Chroma Hospitality. If you haven't heard, well, most people have heard of this group, but it's a strong local brand that they are developing from scratch and really making a big impact. I had no idea they had as many facilities as they have already. And they are, to my knowledge, the only one currently, or just starting to build a new facility that they are starting construction on, hopefully the early part of this year, in the next month or two, in Baguio. So very exciting developments going on. James Montenegro, quite a senior fellow in the hospitality sector, worked with Shangri-La, Mandarin Oriental, Marco Polo, across the Asia region, and was lured back for this opportunity. And they really are doing a lot. So please welcome James Montenegro of Chroma Hospitality. Really glad to have you, James.
Good morning. As mentioned, I'm James Montenegro, country manager for Chroma Hospitality. At the moment, you probably know us more from our other brands, which are Crimson Hotels and Resorts, and we have Quest Hotels and Resorts. At the moment, we operate 1,800 rooms in the country across various destinations, Boracay, Mactan, Cebu, and Pampanga, and also in Alabang. Throughout the pandemic, when the pandemic hit, we kind of took a step back and said, what do we need to do to really get these things going? So we came up with 3 anchor words, right? Recalibrate, recover, and rebuild. But what people don't realize in the hospitality industry, we actually, our storm actually started in December of 2019 when we got hit by Ursula and Boracay. It was one of those unexpected storms, and it devastated the island, an island that already was devastated because prior to that, we had been closed for almost 7 months for the rehabilitation. And in early January of 2020, we got hit again with the Taal volcano eruption. And then after that, by March of 2020, we got the lockdown from the COVID virus. All of this really created a series of unfortunate events for our hotel industry. And that really kind of devastated us, right? And it really had to go back and do a lot of rethinking. So when we did the recalibrate, in the recalibrate process, right, we thought about 2 things. One, we had to shift basically our market from foreign to domestic. Because obviously what we realized that when the market starts up, there won't be any foreign travel for a few years. So we had to recalibrate our marketing strategies and our position as well. We had been doing about 80% international travel prior to the pandemic. So that was a very big shift for us. We are very known internationally with our North Asian and Asian markets. But unfortunately, in the Philippines, because maybe at that time, our price point and all of that, we are not as well known. So that gave us an opportunity to really focus on that. We had to focus on our team. We had to reintroduce new cleaning standards and safety standards for our employees and our guests as well. And we had to shift our focus from very high touch to actually no touch, right? So that was quite important for us. So what we did was in the recalibration portion, we came up with the first one. We came up with a program which is Culture of Clean. Culture of Clean is a brand agnostic program that we created, and for the guest perspective, we overemphasized one word, and that was sanitized, right? We wanted people to feel that there was a heightened sense of safety, cleanliness, and hygiene when they went to our hotels. So people say it's overkill. I said it's great, right? Because what came out after when we started to see the business come back is people started saying these hotels are sanitized. This hotel is clean. This hotel follows very heightened safety protocols, and that was very important for me. Being a local brand and competing in a market with a lot of international brands, I wanted people to realize that because we're local, we actually will have higher, even equal safety standards as the international brands, right? And that was very important for me from the get-go. The second one was team, right? What did we do with our team? We introduced a slogan for our team, and we broke down all the safety protocols and jobs to 2 things, right? That they had to remember, what their role was and their goal. Very simple, right? From the security guard to the beach cleaner, to the waiter, to the GM. What was his role in delivering the safety protocols to make people happy and to give them a feeling of security? That was very important to us. And then we shifted our training, right? We had to retool our employees. We had to shift the way our housekeeping staff cleaned the rooms. We had to re-educate, retrain, and review all of our procedures. And we did that all we came up with these procedures by April of 2020, right? April, May. And we were the second group to launch the safety protocols. Of course, we tweaked them along the way after that. We are second to Sogo. I'm not sure if people know Sogo, but Sogo was the first company to launch their safety protocols in the Philippines, and we were the second. So in one way, it's good, right? And we got there. So that helped us a lot when we saw a chance to open up in late 2020, we saw a surge in our business, right? And we took a lot of the digital marketers and we worked with a lot of influencers and we asked them to do the same thing for us. Focus on highlighting the safety and safety protocols we have implemented, right? And tried to help us overemphasize that. And they did that. And it really started to give us give us more traction in the bookings. And that really helped us. So whatever we got, we digitalized, we put it all online, right? And we use that to remarket as well, all of this stuff. So with that, it kind of brought us back to this rebuild portion now. To the rebuild portion, where we prepared for a better normal, right? So when the rebuild portion started, which is really, it started for the first part of the rebuild for us was in March this year when we opened up right before, but we kind of closed again. We opened in, I think, October, the leisure business, and it closed right before Holy Week, and then reopened again in October this year. So during that period, we saw a surge of our business, especially after Christmas, right? Because people started realizing that it would be great to be going to it would be good to go to these destinations because this hotel company takes it seriously. And that's what we saw. All of the efforts that we did in trying to remind customers during the pandemic kind of came out in the rebuild portion of our program. The word sanitize was overemphasized all over the hotel. And that also helped our customers. When people started sharing that, people started believing that this place that it was really well. The safety protocols were very well thought of. We have now vaccinated all of our employees. We have now trained all of them, right? And we're actually going through the process again. All of our employees from across all our properties are 100% vaccinated, right? In our golf course in Clark that we operate, we even have vaccinated all of our caddies. So it's all part of this impression of trying to give people the sense of security and safety, right? Next slide. So this is what I mentioned. The Sanitize now has become affiliated with our brand, right? When people think of a hotel or they Google safe hotel, the first thing that will come out is probably one of our hotels. As a result of all of this and all of the soft selling that we did in the beginning, our hotel in Boracay is the #1 search property in the Philippines, right? The highest engagement, the hotel in Boracay has the highest engagement in social media. And this was because of all of the self-selling we did in the beginning, right? Whether that was the Here Comes the Sun video, the Candid with Chroma episodes that we shared, that helped us to become the #1 social media engaged hotel in the island. One of the things that also we did was we engaged our employees and we created a program called Project Rise, which was turning all of our employees into salespeople, and that's generated over 27 million for us, right, in the various properties. And last but not least, our company has been awarded one of the most resilient companies by our peers in the industry. So with that, that's basically how we got through this pandemic in a very condensed way. And a lot of it really was, one, focusing on a very strong sense of safety for our employees and our guests and giving that sense and using that and digitalizing that as much as possible and showing that to the community and both local and international and trying to bring that up. That's it. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you, James. Now, James, you've got a lot of experience over the years and you've dealt with, financial crises and other things, but this one is just another one of these, it seems, maybe a bit longer than the others, but what do you see coming out? Do you think we're nearing the end? Do you think we're at the end? Do you think we're now starting to recover? Where would you put us as far as your industry?
I think we are nearing the end, right? Okay. I personally think, and I'm hoping that we are nearing the end, right? One of the things that I think has come out of this thing, right? And that's what I was, and all of this stuff that we're doing, I think, the cleaning stuff, the culture clean that we launched and the digital marketing that we've done, we're able to capitalize on all the different surges, right? And I think that's where people have to look out for, right? Because I mean, when a surge happens, like when the government released all the new regulations in October 15, on October 16, you know the scenes from the bookies, you know, in the old New York movies where you have the bookies, the gambling?
Yep.
It felt like that, right?
Okay.
Phone calls coming in until midnight. People calling and to book a room. And if you're not ready for it, you're gonna miss out on a lot of business, right? So we practically went in one hotel from 0 to about 15, 16 million in 2 days in terms of bookings, right? And it's that fast. So you have to be ready. And I think we will go through these surges for another year, right? But maybe it will be longer, shorter, right? But there will be pockets. I think it'll be hard to avoid. As you can see in Europe, they're going through another issue again at the moment. So I think that will happen in Asia. So it's really how you prepare yourself to handle those surges, right? And how you're able to cope with it. And how you're able to provide your guests the information they need to travel.
Yeah. Okay. And now, James, I've often wondered that, you know, Filipinos work in hotels in virtually every country in the world in senior positions at all levels. And I always wondered why there isn't a Filipino hotel brand in the world. Now, you mentioned, we were talking a bit earlier, that this is one of your, you think a big opportunity for your organization. How far advanced are you with that?
I think we have one brand that we have at the moment, which is Crimson, and that's what we're pushing, right?
Okay.
We're trying to take that out into the region. We've already mapped out our Filipino rollout for the Crimson, right? So now it's just a matter of timing. We have a project, an expansion project in Mactan, for example. We're trying to do a couple of locations in Palawan. But there's only so many locations that you can build this kind of hotels in the Philippines.
Sure.
Unfortunately, we don't have the support infrastructure yet for those some of those locations. Like for example, in Palawan, there's missing a key international airport, right, to service those islands. So what we've done is we've created a roadmap of how to take this brand internationally. So we have a roadmap to open a property in Phuket, Koh Samui, Bali as our first target cities. Prior to pandemic, we had an opportunity in Phuket, but unfortunately the pandemic hit and we had to put that on hold. Mm-hmm. But so really our goal is really to continue to grow this brand outside the Philippines. And then we created another brand now that we're doing in Baguio. You mentioned that earlier, which is called Graphic. And that's another brand that we want to take internationally as well. And those are all homegrown brands that we want to use to help catapult the Filipino hospitality outside the country.
Yeah, and thanks again. That was James Montenegro of Chroma Hospitality. And a lot of good things to watch there. So thank you again, James.
Thank you.
And it's always a pleasure to have our next speaker is Rosemary Ong. Her title is Senior Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of Wilcon Depot, who everybody knows. I am certainly a big customer of Wilcon, I got to say, for the record, and has continued opening stores all through the pandemic, which surprised me. She's also president of the Philippine Retailers Association, which is a very large organization in this nation. Also very active in the Philippine Contractors Association, who builds real estate and other things. So, we're really pleased to have her. And as I said to others, she has her fingers in a lot of things, all related to real estate as a supplier, retailers, or users of real estate space. So we're looking forward to hearing her, not just advice, but information about what's going on. Please welcome Rosemary Ong of Wilcon Depot and other things. Glad to have you again, Rosemary.
Yes, thank you, Richard. Thank you for that very kind introduction. And good morning to everyone. On behalf of the Philippine Retailers Association, or the PRA, thank you very much for inviting me today in the Asia Real Estate Forum 2021. It's really a pleasure to speak to all of you today, and I am pleased to share with you some updates and trends on retail and the real estate. But before I start, allow me first to introduce briefly what PRA is. The Philippine Retailers Association, or the PRA, is the recognized national organization of retailers, and it represents nearly 80% of the retail industry. We are a dynamic association with over 400 member companies covering the gamut of the distribution chain. In our fold, our membership includes, of course, the retailers, big and small retailers, mall and shopping center operators, two traders and suppliers, the manufacturers, distributors, and wholesale, among others. Retail industry indeed is a vibrant network, so I am very keen to share with you the latest updates and trends on retail and real estate. Now, let me walk you through on the retail sector. As you know, the retail industry is one of the main economic drivers of the country. It is one of the biggest sectors that contributes to the Philippines' GDP and provides a large portion of employment to the Filipino people. Based from the Philippine Statistics Authority, or the PSA, the services where retail sector is remains to have the highest share to GDP with 60.2% as of current data in the second quarter of this year. Moreover, the service sector continued to account for the largest share to employment with 57.9% of the total employed persons in July 2021. And as we know, the Philippines is a consumer-driven economy. Hence, the retail industry plays an important role in driving the whole economy forward. Now, on the outlook for retail rents, there was no new retail space that was completed since the second quarter to the third quarter of 2021. However, there is about 137,000 square meters, or equivalent to 1.5 million square feet of new leasable space that is expected to be delivered in the fourth quarter of this year, with the scheduled completion of SMCT Grand Central in Caloocan and Ayala Triangle Retail in Makati CBD. In 2021, retail vacancy continued to rise as brick and mortar retailers vacated their spaces, either temporarily or some permanently closed their businesses because of the impact of the pandemic. In the third quarter of 2021, Colliers saw retail vacancy rising to 14.8% from 14% in the first quarter of 2021. Despite the pandemic, there were still some local and foreign retailers that opened stores in regional and super regional malls. New and upcoming retailers include Harajuku Cafe at Estancia Mall, H&M at SM Aura, Adidas at Glorieta 3, Cafe Kitsune, and Greyhound at the Podium Mall. Colliers projects vacancy to rise to 17% in 2022, given constricted consumer spending and limited mall visits due to mobility restrictions. There is now a growing propensity of Filipinos to shop online, as well as rising inflation concerns that might hinder people from shopping physically in stores. The volatile lockdown situation in Metro Manila is also likely to impact retailers' decision to reopen, as well as consumers' willingness to go out and spend their money. Now, on the outlook for retail rents and properties, retail rents are expected to rebound slowly by 2022, as consumer confidence is expected to rise in the fourth quarter that will boost traffic in malls, and it is forecasted that retail rents to drop by 5% in 2021 from a 10% decline in 2020. Supply is likely to recover in 2022 as retailers prepare to recapture pent-up demand. The improving inoculation program should also improve business and consumer confidence, and this should play a crucial role in raising consumer confidence, mall traffic, and of course, retail rates. Retailers are very optimistic that business will be more upbeat this fourth quarter with the easing of restrictions and the continued lowering number of positive cases in the country. The last quarter of the year is also perennially a strong period for retail, as spending is usually fueled by holiday bonuses and increased remittances for Filipinos working abroad. Now, on the retail estate and the real estate moving forward, the disruption brought about by the pandemic has taught us retailers that we should always be resilient and future-proof in our businesses. We have to be sustainable, and we need to invest on technology services that will benefit our organization in the long run, making it flexible to any shocks and unforeseen disruptions. Through the years, technology has always been the partner of retail towards progress and innovation. It allows more possibilities for retailers to achieve optimal business results, efficiency in business operations, and now, more importantly, provide efficient and swift delivery systems to help us serve our customers better. According to the report from the PricewaterhouseCoopers, or the PwC, the store of the future will be omni-channel and experience-rich that fuses the physical and digital world. Technology will continue to revolutionize online and physical retail, forcing rapid change and innovation. As such, digital habits of people are here to stay even in a post-pandemic future. Retailers will seek to provide their customers frictionless shopping experience that combines the best of both online and physical stores to appeal to what the consumer shopping preferences are. Now, let me walk you through with Wilcon and the real estate situation. Let me briefly share with you our company, Wilcon Depot, the Philippines' leading home improvement and construction supplies retailer in the Philippines. As of October 15, 2021, Wilcon has a total network of 71 strong stores in key cities and municipalities in the Philippines. Even amidst our digital transformation, we press on with our strategy to expand our physical store to serve our market. These stores also serve as the fulfillment center of our e-commerce site. I'm even happy to share that we are right on track with our 5-year store expansion strategy called #Flying 100, Flying High to 100, wherein our company is projecting to expand our footprint by having 100 operational stores by 2021, of course, barring any unexpected external factors. This enables our end-to-end service seamless and frictionless in serving both our online and offline customers. We also ramp up our digital transformation by successfully launching a more robust and improved Wilcon online store, our very own online shopping shop. With our goal to provide a bigger and better home shopping experience, Filipinos can now shop online at Wilcon by visiting shop.wilcon.com.ph. With exciting and customer-centric features, customers can now shop for their all-around home and building needs and have their items delivered right at their doorsteps or choose to pick them up in the store. In addition, easily pay using credit card, debit card, and e-wallet payments. Our e-commerce platform complements our existing shopping alternatives that give our customers safe, convenient, and frictionless shopping journey. With the implementation of our omni-channel strategy, we have continuously upgraded our systems to provide our valued customers with a fully integrated shopping experience from the physical store to the online store. In addition to that, We have integrated a Tier 1 customer relationship management system to manage relationships and interactions with our existing customers and potential clients. Our goal is to improve our business relationship and stay connected to our customers. Wilcon acknowledges that in the new normal businesses, it is not enough to have a brick and mortar store or an online store. Everything must be interconnected. In conclusion, the pandemic has tested the retail sector's ability to survive in the long run amidst unprecedented challenges. It indeed changed the retail landscape. As we are experiencing it today, technology, as I mentioned earlier, is an essential part of retail and real estate and will continue to be. Retail is a dynamic industry that continues to evolve and keep up with the latest trends in the market as well as the latest innovations in the industry. And as we take the road to recovery, we will most likely carry out these new retail experiences, e-commerce, contactless and digital transactions, and overall healthy lifestyle preferences for most of the consumer market. We, the Filipino retailers, have exhibited through the years that we are resilient to innovation and adaptive to the rapid changes in the retail landscape. Hence, we have no doubt that these challenges will shall pass, that we can overcome them as long as we all work together. Thank you very much for listening and have a good day.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Rose. Good to hear so much spirit in the retail industry. I know, some, not you, but others have been through a lot of difficulties, but it seems the malls are full again and restaurants open. So glad to hear you are so positive, Rose. So really good to see you and thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Richard, and a pleasant good morning to all of you.
Really pleasant to see you and have you. Thank you again, Rose. Wonderful. Okay, always a highlight of any event is our next speaker, architect June Palafox, principal architect and urban planner of Palafox Associates. June is often called Mr. Master Plan of the Philippines, and I'm told more than any other, he's been responsible for revolutionizing urban planning and architectural design across the nation. And his firm really has been a powerhouse for many years in the Philippines and all across Asia, the Middle East, and God knows where else. So really pleased to have him. Please welcome June Palafox of Palafox Associates. Really good to see you in action again, June.
And thank you once again, Richard Mills. It's always so nice to have a conversation with you and with our audience and participants. My presentation will be looking at 2050. We need 100 new cities by 2050. Architecture, planning, urban design, real estate, infrastructure, well into the new world order. We've done projects in 40 countries, but this time we're more focused in the Philippines. So global best practices, vision of Paris, smart city by 2050. Vertical cities, tall buildings, lot of green architecture. So this one is in France, biophilic building, agriculture, urban landscape. Bosco Verticale Milan, 20,000 trees and plants across pair of towers can transfer approximately 44,000 pounds of carbon dioxide into oxygen each year. Duo Singapore residential tower, extensive landscape areas and green spaces equal to 100% of the site area. The Edge in Amsterdam, the smartest, greenest building of the world, can produce 102% of its energy requirements through 5,900 square meters of solar panels, rainwater harvesting, 30,000 sensors of energy efficiency. Highline in New York, elevated pedestrian walkway. This is an abandoned elevated railway made into a linear park elevated. San Francisco biophilic city, a city diffused with abundance of nature. Washington, D.C., world's first LEED Platinum city, a green city. 65% of neighborhoods are walkable. 58% of commuter trips are by biking, walking, and public transit. Singapore, 45% green and open space. Amsterdam, water-sensitive urban design, rainwater collection in streets, roof gardens, parks, buildings, green zones, and houses. Sponge City Initiative in China, nationwide projects for nature-based flood-resilient and green infrastructure and increased tree cover, building wetlands and rainwater storage. Stockholm, Sweden, revival of rivers, waterways, walkable and bikeable. Copenhagen, bicycle highways. Heathrow, London, self-driving electric pods, zero-emission pods replace diesel-burning hopper buses at the terminal. Bogota, Colombia, bus rapid transit. Paris, city introduced a car-free day in 2020. Now Paris is, the mayor of Paris is now making Paris a 15-minute city. All your destinations within 15 minutes from your home. Nature Urban Paris, world's largest urban farm, 14,000 square meters farm, able to produce 2,000 pounds of fruit and vegetables a day. Aeroponic farming cuts water usage by 90% compared with traditional soil-based farming. Copenhagen, Denmark, one of Europe's largest waste-to-energy plants, an architectural landmark. All of these are inspirations for our cities of the future. Top 10 cities in the world, greenest city, Tampa, Singapore, Oslo, Vancouver, Sydney, Montreal, Durban, Johannesburg, Sacramento, and Frankfurt. Smartest cities in the world, Singapore, Helsinki, Zurich, Auckland, Oslo, Copenhagen, Geneva, Taipei, Amsterdam, and New York. Urban mobility, Hong Kong, Zurich, Paris, Seoul, Prague, Vienna, London, Singapore, Stockholm, and Frankfurt. Resilient, future-proof cities, San Francisco, Silicon Valley, New York, London, Boston, Los Angeles, Paris, Amsterdam, Toronto, San Diego. Livable cities in the world, Auckland, Osaka, Adelaide, Wellington, Tokyo, Perth, Zurich, Geneva, Melbourne, and Brisbane. Tourist cities, Bangkok, London, Paris, Dubai, Singapore, Tokyo, Seoul, New York, Kuala Lumpur, and Hong Kong. Gateway cities, international arrivals, Dubai, London, Hong Kong, Paris, Amsterdam, Singapore, Frankfurt, Incheon, Bangkok, Istanbul. Safest cities, Tokyo, Singapore, Osaka, Amsterdam, Sydney, Toronto, Washington, D.C., Copenhagen, Seoul, and Melbourne. Innovative nations, South Korea, Sweden, Singapore, Germany, Switzerland, Japan, Finland, Denmark, France, and Israel. These should be the model cities that we should take inspiration from. Unfortunately, our country, the inspiration was post-war Los Angeles. Los Angeles was designed for the automobile, not for the pedestrians. At Palafox, we have an integral ecology, people first or social equity, then planet Earth or the environment. Then we can talk about profits, prosperity, economic goals, without forgetting history, culture, humanities, and interfaith spirituality. 2030 challenge, zero net energy buildings by the year 2030. I had pledged before year 2000 that buildings that we design should be carbon neutral by 2030, addressing climate change. One of my professors in Harvard used to tell us, this century will be a re-century, reimagine, replan, re-architecture, redesign, re-engineer, redevelop, renew, reduce, reuse, recycle, renaissance. Sustainability, meeting the needs of the present generations without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. From the Native Americans of Seattle. Sustainability and urban development, green architecture, green urbanism, green technology, green energy, green tenure, green engineering, infrastructure, manufacturing, green transportation, purchasing jobs, hopefully green sustainable development. There are 6 kinds of infrastructure, progressive. These are the international airports, international seaports, international schools, international hotels and hospitals. And hard infrastructure, we all know that. These are the roads and utilities. Soft infrastructure, the ease of doing business. No red tape, no corruption. Green and sustainable. We all know that. Digital Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and institutional infrastructure. We need good institutions to implement those plans. Smart cities integrate social, environmental, economic goals using efficient processes, investing in its people and technology to provide higher quality of life for its citizens, businesses, and visitors. Resilient, well-connected, self-sufficient, socially inclusive, and more compact. Components of a smart city: smart government, the ease of doing business, transparency, no red tape, no corruption, and availability of open data. Smart economy fosters entrepreneurship, innovation, and interconnectivity where small to large businesses can prosper. Smart living, security, health, and vitality of communities. Smart people, world-class education is made accessible to everyone. Smart mobility encourages faster, environment-friendly, and more affordable transportation options. Smart environment deals with urban plans in innovative ways that protect the environment and the city's natural resources. Aerotropolis, airport-driven city, a center for business, logistics, technology, and innovation. We're involved in two aerotropolis right now, Clark and the International Airport in Bulacan. Agropolis, the farm in the city, a center for food production, agri-industrial businesses, resorts, also known as urban suburban agriculture. Aquapolis, center for waterfront development and marine food production. Ecopolis, center for environment, tourism, education, and natural heritage. Green urbanism. Green urbanism seeks to reduce carbon footprint in communities and destinations by making them more walkable and bikeable. It ensures that the community achieves a balanced lifestyle where there are workplaces to work, play, live, shop, and dine, and worship. From urban sprawl to more compact developments, from segregated to better integrated, from congested to better connected. Mixed-use developments promotes walking, maximizing land values for proprietary areas, promotes sharing infrastructure, provides attractive transition between land uses. That's Rockwell, our projects in the background. This is the future of urban development in the cities. First two floors, commercial, retail, shopping and dining. Third to fourth floor, place to work, offices. Upper floors, place to live. So you only have, you minimize motorized commuting. This was Rockwell then, before we planned it. The first 5 towers were the architects of record and the master plan also. So a good plan add value to real estate and a good architecture and design. Vertical urbanism, it's the way to go. Hong Kong, 7.1 million population. People who live in more compact cities tend to live about 3 years longer than people that live in less compact cities. Next slide. So Hong Kong, with its tall buildings and vertical urbanism, is 71% open and green spaces. Green transportation, San Francisco won the Sustainable Transport Award. And there are 20 kinds of urban transport. The first modes are walking, biking, then public transit. And the last priority should be the automobile. So pedestrians first, then bicycles, and public transit, then private cars. Those with less in wheels should have more in roads, 1/3 for people, pedestrians and bicycles, 1/3 for trees and landscaping, and 1/3 for the moving traffic vehicles. This is our proposal for EDSA because EDSA is functioning at 8 roads, 8 parallel roads. So we propose a 3-level EDSA. Next slide. And the whole length of EDSA, elevated walkways, elevated bicycle lanes with design vendors. And with that, you could even introduce landscaping and trees and linear parks. Parks and open spaces are the lungs of the city. This is our master plan for Clark Freeport Zone, a smart city, Aerotropolis Airport-driven city, abundant green open spaces for Clark Freeport Zone. This is for Metro Davao urban design for linear parks. And we also work on the Metro Davao urban master plan. Even the pavement patterns are influenced by the indigenous architecture of Mindanao. More alfresco dining. We did this before the pandemic, and now restaurants should have 50% outdoor dining, 30% kitchen, 20% enclosed dining. This will be the future shopping in retail. We designed this in Monterey, California. Shopping and dining should be more extroverted now, looking at the pedestrian streets. Unlike malls, we have been introverted, enclosed. Promenades for the Iloilo Business Park, which also we master plan. The original runway would be a pedestrian street, mixed-use development. Again, promenades in Clark. Promenades still in Clark. This has been my dream for, I think, 50 years already. I've been proposing that our country can be interconnected with bridges, tunnels, and railways, interconnect the whole country. And the American Corps of Engineers proposed 6 circumferential roads and 10 radial roads. I had proposed 10 circumferential roads, now doing the radial road, circumferential road number 10, connecting Bataan and Cavite, which I proposed that 40 years ago, so that circumferential roads 7, 8, 9, and 10 would avoid the traffic congested Metro Manila, interconnect Calabarzon and Central Luzon. This, I presented it in 2006, the 60th anniversary of the United Nations, interconnecting the 6 continents of the world by highways, railways, and tunnel system. And way ahead of the 2013, China announced the Belt Road, interconnecting 3 continents, excluding the Americas. I believe this can still be done. And you can see in here, the Philippines is right in the middle of Asia Pacific. This is now being designed, the Bataan Cavite Bridge Tunnel. The Bao Gulf Bridge. This is our architectural design for the future bridge interconnecting Samal Island and mainland Davao. Green architecture development seeks to build the conditions of the site. It aims to create buildings that have minimal impact on human health and natural environment. This is very important during this pandemic. Green buildings utilizes less resources, generating less water, reduces pollution, preserving greenery, waterways, and natural resources. Green building, we have reintroduced in our architecture the wind towers they used to have in the Middle East before oil was discovered. So you collect the wind, the breeze from ventilation from above and ventilate the rooms below and cross-ventilate the whole building, green building. And we designed, we gave 18 architectural design for the King Abdallah Financial District in Saudi Arabia with green architecture, solar roof interconnecting the buildings and all the features of a green building. This is Dubai in 1960, and something close to my heart because I was invited to help plan the desert town of Dubai to make it into world-class city that it is today. This was the silted creek that was dredged, and this is the same creek today in Dubai. Dubai then, Dubai Marina, the same place today. That's a man-made canal, Dubai Canal and Marina. Dubai then, and Dubai today, Sheikh Zayed Road. Dubai waterfront then, Dubai today. I'm showing this because Dubai made it to the first world in 15 years. Dubai then, when I went there, April 1977, maybe 50 years behind Manila International Airport. Dubai International Airport today, one of the busiest in the world. They're building the largest airport in the world. By 2050, it will accommodate combined capacity of London Heathrow and Chicago O'Hare. So Dubai then, and the same place today. The wind towers of Dubai then, before oil was discovered, and the same towers today, one of the tallest before, the tallest building in the world, Burj Khalifa, a vertical village, place to live, workshop, and dine and worship. They ran out of waterfront prime real estate. So the ruler of Dubai decided to do artificial islands, the Palm Islands. And the Philippines has the third or fifth longest coastline in the world. When we're not too busy, we take pictures of the uglification of our cities, and I call them postcards from the future. So Pasig River today and Pasig River in the future, postcards from the future. Estero in Manila today can be like this in the future. San Juan River today, postcard from the future. A creek in San Juan today, postcard from the future. A street in San Pedro Laguna today, postcard in the future. Tourist destination Ilocos Norte, Kapurpuran, White Rock. We put boardwalk, even wheelchair ready to reach your tourist destination. Boracay Island, we did the plans 1991-2006. It's only now that it's being implemented. Make it like a rival to a tropical island. Boracay, now they are following our plans, improving it like this. Boracay Island, now with the rehabilitation, they're following now our plans. Yeah. The white sand beach of Boracay, with elevated walkways and bicycle lanes. So we preserve the sand below it, elevate the boardwalk. Boracay Island, our master plan. San Vicente, Palawan, 800 kilometers, 800 of fine sand and so on. And this was cited as one of the top 8 best master plan projects in the world. Before we planned it, the land value was 300 pesos per square meter. After we got the award, and after the master plan was approved, the land value went up to 14,000 pesos per square meter. So a good plan can add value. Some of our advocacies, we don't just do architecture for business, trade and commerce, and for government. We also do architectural activism, architecture for humanity, architecture for faith, architecture for the poor, architecture for transportation, green architecture, democratic architecture, patriotic architecture, philanthropic architecture. My advocacies. Daniel Burnham planned Manila in 1905, and I like to quote him, "Make no little plans, they have no magic to stir men's blood. Making big plans, aim high in hope and work, remembering that a noble logical diagram once recorded will never die, but long after we're gone will be a living thing, asserting itself with ever-growing insistence. Remember that our sons and daughters are going to do things that will stagger us. Let your watchword be order and beacon beauty." And Churchill said, "Never let a good crisis go to waste." So let's take advantage of this pandemic, lessons from mistakes made, and make urban renewal, improve our urban development. And he also said, we shape our buildings, thereafter they shape us. I wrote this when I was a student, 1973. Development is not worthy of a name unless spread evenly like butter on a piece of bread. Today we call it inclusive growth, inclusionary zoning, and so on. Everything we do is pro Deo, Patria et Terra, for God, country, and planet Earth. And I think we would like to live in environment-friendly, master-planned, well-designed buildings and communities and cities that are smarter, more resilient, more livable, better connected, more accessible, walkable, bikeable, safer, better lighted, more convenient, cleaner, with mixed income, cross-generational mixed developments, with places to live, work, shop, and dine, learn and worship, with healthcare and wellness centers, recreation and leisure, with some 24-hour cycle activity centers. Thank you very much. And if I may add, our country has so blessed, where many centuries ago, the center of trade and commerce was the Mediterranean. The last century was the Atlantic. This century is the Pacific, Asia Pacific, And our country is right in the center. It's no wonder for more than 300 years, we were the Asia-Pacific hub of Spanish Europe and Mexico, the Americas. 50 years, the Americans. 4 years, the Japanese. 2 years, the British. So our strategic location and beautiful islands, superpower countries will always be interested in our islands. It's naturally a hub. It's 400 times the size of Singapore, 350 times the size of Hong Kong, 8 times the size of Taiwan, 3 times the size of South Korea. And we are number 1 in the world in marine biodiversity. We are now number 1 in call centers. We're number 1 in sailors, seafarers. We're number 2 in geothermal energy. We're number 2 in BPOs. I think we are the 3rd or the 5th longest coastline in the world. Other countries like Dubai, they do man-made islands because they rent out of prime waterfront real estate. We're number 4 in the world in gold reserves and number 4 in shipbuilding. We are number 5 in all other mineral resources, and we are number 12 in human resources. So I'd like to believe we can make it into the first world by 2030. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share. Thank you.
Thank you very much, June Palafox. Always a lot to think about and a lot of material to digest as well. So thank you again, June, and really good to see you as always.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Richard, and thank you, everyone.
And we go to our next speaker is Rosie Chai. She is chairman of the board of the Subdivision and Housing Developers Association, or SHDA, and their organization is really a force for development in the country. Rosie's also CEO of City Homes, a prominent builder and developer of real estate projects across the nation. So really pleased to have her and see her again. Rosie Chai, chairman of the board of the SHDA. Glad to have you, Rosie.
Thank you, Richard. On behalf of the Subdivision and Housing Developers Association Incorporated, or SHDA, I'd like to extend my gratitude, our gratitude, to the Asia CEO events, organizers, and to Phil Invest Land Incorporated for inviting SHDA to participate in this important event. Greetings, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from guests all over the world. I'd like to greet Mr. Richard Mills, chairman of the Asia CEO events, Rebecca Bustamante, president of Asia CEO events. I'd like to greet our fellow speakers, colleagues in the housing industry, and distinguished guests. SHDA is the leading and largest organization of property and housing developers in the country for both vertical and horizontal development. SHDA envisions to be the leading voice in articulating the advocacy of the housing industry in the Philippines, thus becoming a responsive, esteemed, trustworthy, and relevant developers organization in the country. And in order to attain its vision, SHDA works hard to unite all registered subdivision and condominium developers nationwide under one organization and to champion the welfare of member developers. SHDA ensures a faster, effective, and efficient flow of information and delivery of services to the general membership. SHDA partners with the government and other sectors of society towards undertaking programs and policies that foster a sustained housing industry vis-a-vis the economic growth of our country. SHDA promotes the highest standards of ethical conduct and professionalism among the members of this organization. And to give everybody a brief background or history, the Subdivision and Housing Developers Association was established on May 6, 1970, as the Subdivision Owners Association of the Philippines Incorporated, or SOAP. After many years, the SOAP amended or changed its name to Subdivision and Housing Developers Association which was approved by the Securities and Exchange Commission in 1987. SHEDA has been in the industry for 51 years, and throughout the years, SHEDA has been true to its mission and has been in the forefront for a vibrant and productive housing sector. To date, SHEDA has some 300 developer members from across the country, the National Capital Region, and the regional areas. In order to bring services closer to the members, SHEDA established 8 regional chapters who are represented in the national board. Starting from Southern Luzon, which covers the Calabar Zone area, Central Luzon, which is based in Pampanga, our Central Visayas region, based in Cebu, Eastern Visayas regional chapter, based in Tacloban, Leyte, Negros, based in Bacolod, Panay chapter, based in Iloilo, Northern Mindanao chapter, based in Cagayan de Oro, and Southern Mindanao chapter based in Davao City. The government alone cannot address the increasing housing need of some 6.5 million units. SHEDA partners with the government in bridging this housing gap. Allow me to present some statistics in housing needs. From 2017 to 2022, there are 6.57 million units required in terms of production. And these are actually separated into 2 groups: the informal sector, which comprises 22% or 1.44 million housing units, and the formal sector, including repairs and replacements, comprising 78% or 5.13 million housing units. And from 2023 to 2040, the government projections a burgeoning 19.46 million units, again divided into 2 sectors: the informal sector with 10% at 1.98 million, and the formal sector at 90%, around 17.48 million housing units. And to show the housing accomplishments, as far as budgetary or funding requirements for housing is concerned, from 2020 to 2022, to produce total 443,000 units, budget requirement was around 150 billion pesos or 50 billion pesos a year. And moving on from 2023 to 2040, total number of units required will be around 2 million units, averaging 114,000 units per year, requiring financing fund requirements of around close to 2 trillion pesos, or 105 billion a year. And to show the past year's housing accomplishments from 1987 to July of 2021, covering 5 past presidential administrations, and including this administration under President Duterte, there was a housing production of 4.6 million housing units. And as you see in the chart, every term accomplishments against the number of years will give you an average of the number of housing units per year in terms of housing production. The 4.626 million housing units translates to an average of 136,079 units for the past 34 years. SHEDA believes the housing sector contributes significantly to a post-COVID economic bounce back and recovery. The housing sector is an economic pump primer with a 3.14 multiplier effect. It generates jobs for 5% of the total employment population in the country, and around 80 allied businesses and industries also benefit from the housing sector. Furthermore, on the social side, there are unquantifiable but positive effects in terms of security of tenure, better health conditions, improved peace and order, preservation of the family, dignity of the family, which redounds to more productive citizenry. And to achieve all these, SHEDA continues to be at the forefront of engaging government agencies like the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development, the Anti-Red Tape Authority, the Board of Investment under the Department of Trade and Industry and other government agencies, and in the legislative front with both the Senate and lower House of Congress. SHEDA's advocacies are the continued efforts for simplification and rationalization of housing permits and licenses and the ease of doing business. This we do with working closely with the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development and the Anti-Red Tape Authority. SHEDA promotes viable, sustainable, and accessible fund for housing development as well as end-user financing through the Pag-ibig Fund and the National Home Mortgage Finance Corporation, or NHMFC. SHEDA works on the extension of incentives under the Board of Investment, Department of Trade and Industry, SIPP, or the Strategic Investment Priority Plan. SHEDA worked on the granting of BIR VAT exemption for low-cost and affordable housing. SHEDA also worked with DSUD and NEDA. We're right now working with them for the adjustment for a reasonable price ceiling for socialized and economic housing. SHEDA participates in the examination, review, and proposals for legislative bills in Senate and Congress, which will impact the housing sector. We promote green, resilient, and innovative housing. SHEDA advocates for the passage of the National Land Use Act, which will allow continued access to land for housing and other settlements, including other sectors for other uses. SHEDA is involved in the establishment of more chapters to address inherent concerns in the regions. Throughout the past 2 years, throughout the past 2 decades, the slow degradation of Mother Nature and the environment brought about by progress and modernization resulted in global warming and the great ill effects of climate change. This was further aggravated by the unprecedented global pandemic caused by COVID-19 and its variants. There is not one single responsible person who can turn a blind eye and a deaf ear to what's happening. Similarly, SHEDA assumes responsibility with a call to action to help address the need for more environment-friendly, sustainable, and resilient housing communities. This gave birth to the theme of SHEDA's first virtual national convention. After so many years, as a tradition, the holding of annual developers conventions, this year, SHEDA ventured into a virtual housing convention. And this was how Sheda underscored the importance of going green. The theme for this year's convention is Beyond the Pandemic, the Future of Housing, focusing on redesigning the housing industry through innovation and green initiatives. As a result of the 4-day event, Sheda came up with the following convention resolutions. To promote innovation as a key to building better and less expensive housing by partnering with the Philippine Green Building Council for its Verde certification and with the International Finance Corporation for its EDGE certification. Sheda promotes the use of green technology, integration of technology in the entire spectrum of housing development. Sheda works for government incentives for green building efforts and initiatives. Sheda collaborates with the government to introduce digital transformation through e-governance to further enhance efficiency and improved service delivery. And Sheda collaborates with the private sector on the technological solutions to create smart subdivisions and thus smart cities. The housing industry continues to face many challenges years ahead. Sheda will not stop working to safeguard the interests and welfare of the property and housing developers. And the one sure way of achieving this is to develop a strong membership base, to have a strong voice and well-accepted position among both public and private stakeholders. Join Sheda, be a part of the organization with a noble and worthy cause. Thank you to all.
Okay, thank you very much, Rosie Chai. Yes, we'll see you again soon, and keep up the great work you're doing. A lot of need for housing in this nation. So thank you again, Rosie. Next, we go to David Raphael, the CEO of Aboitis Land. This is a large, diverse real estate development organization with projects in almost most sectors and in most parts of the nation. So we're glad to have David. We've known for many years and done a lot of good work in different organizations. But Aboitis, if you don't know, this is one of the nation's largest conglomerates with large and dominant businesses in power, banking and financial services, food, agriculture, infrastructure, on and on. So really pleased to have David representing Aboitis Land. Glad to have you, David.
Good day, everyone. Today, we will be zeroing in on agility and innovation, two of the most crucial values that drive Aboitis Land to its thriving business today amidst the pandemic. I'm David Raphael, President and CEO of Aboitis Land. Allow me to take you through how our team was able to successfully maneuver our way out of the unforeseen disruptions brought about by the health crisis. But before anything else, I would like to give you a background about Aboitis Land. Built on more than 25 solid years of real estate experience, Aboitis Land is the residential property arm of the Aboitis Group, one of the country's oldest and best managed conglomerates, engaged in power generation and distribution, banking, food, infrastructure development, and construction. Aboitis Land has completed 10 legacy communities in Cebu and is currently developing 9 horizontal projects across Luzon and Cebu. Almost 2 years after the COVID-19 pandemic started, as the government continues its rollout of the vaccination program and community quarantines are easing, the real estate industry is on the brink of recovery. We have seen new trends in real estate emerge as a result of the pandemic. The pandemic highlighted the importance of a quality home. Staying at home for more than 2 years, homeowners saw the need for bigger living spaces, quality amenities, safety and security, even leisure features, including green belts and parks for mental and physical health. It is also worth noting that housing lots and residential lot projects have captured great interest as preferences for the living setup shift towards horizontal developments. Supported with the boom of infrastructure developments built by the government, it is now more possible to live in new progressive cities outside of the metro without compromising comfort and convenience. The pandemic also greatly influenced how we do things: work, study, business. The greatest lesson that we have learned through this ongoing pandemic is that agility and innovation moved organizations to quickly adapt and effectively execute at an accelerated speed as necessary. Just a month after the lockdown, we have managed to quickly and completely pivot to digital selling. We launched our contactless home buying service just 2 weeks into the community lockdowns, empowering investors and aspiring buyers to continuously enjoy their home buying journey in a more convenient, safer, and worry free process. Through technology, we provide our vecinos an enjoyable home buying experience, from property search all the way to turnover. Vecino, a Spanish word for neighbor, is Aboitisland's term of endearment for its homeowners. Aboitisland also invested in a proprietary mobile application called Aboitisland Vecino app to make its process and services more efficient and more convenient. Vecinos are now able to track monthly payments and download statement of accounts and receipts in a more timely manner. Monthly payments may be settled using credit or debit cards. Housing loan applications can be made through the app. Scheduling of acceptance and turnovers, as well as reaching out to the customer service team, are now made possible through our proprietary app. Aboitisland leveraged on hybrid sales and marketing approaches, making our presence even stronger using both online and on-ground events. Whether they are casually browsing online or ready to see our sites in person, we want to meet where the customers are in their home buying journey. Different marketing campaigns and activations are also in full blast. A balanced mix of thought leadership webcasts and online shows were designed to tap specific markets both locally and globally. Seeing that the demand for residential lots outside of the metros have risen, we launched a campaign that aimed to push residential lots by capitalizing on project locations outside of metros and Aboitisland's track record in value appreciation. Aboitisland's competitive pricing and flexible payment terms played a vital role to maintain its increasing sales while addressing the vecinos' pain points. Aboitisland has also ventured into strategic alliances with digital corporations to strengthen back-end operations and provide clients with more flexible options. These include Acquire, Nook, and Conovate. The innovation risks that we took have been paying off. Aboitisland's sales continue to perform strongly, with our 2021 target in reservations already achieved as of the third quarter. We have generated 3.7 billion pesos, an 89% increase versus the previous year, resulting from improved sales operations across the different projects and continued efforts in building sales momentum. We expect to exceed the full year target by 10%, closing at 4.2 billion, which is Aboitisland's strongest performance in its history. Our residential brands were recognized in the recently concluded Property Guru Philippine Property Awards. Seafront Residences was named Best Housing Development in the country and Best Housing Development in Southern Luzon. Amoa was hailed as the best affordable housing development in Visayas, and the Villages at Lipa was highly commended in the Best Housing Development in Southern Luzon category. As a testament to strong market reception, some of our projects will be launching new, fresh phases, including the Foresta Mountain Town, Amoa, and the Villages at Lipa. In summary, Aboitisland's deeply embedded value of agility and innovation pushes our organizations forward during times of uncertainty. Cultivating an innovative mindset accelerated and propelled our continuing digital and organizational transformation. Capitalizing on shifting markets and being in tune with the changing needs and concerns of our customer. These are the key to not only surviving, but thriving during a pandemic. Thank you.
Okay, that was David Raphael. Keep up the good work. I know there's been lots of ups and downs, mainly downs over the past year and a half, but you are another one seeming to do all right. So thank you again, David. And next we move north to New Clark City. Our speaker is Joshua Bing Kang. He is Senior Vice President, Head of Business Development and Operations for BCDA. This is Bases Conversion Development Authority, and he leads many of BCDA's largest development projects, including New Clark City. If you've never seen this, you've got to really take a look. It's almost 10,000 hectares of development real estate. Joshua has been key in this organization. He led was project manager for the Subic-Clark Tarlac Expressway, SC Tex, the longest toll road in the nation, and other major projects. But New Clark City, that's about as big as it gets. So let's see what's happening up in Clark, Pampanga. Please welcome Joshua Bing Kang of BCDA.
Okay, good morning, everybody. First, thank you for inviting BCDA to participate in the 2021 Asia CEO Real Estate Forum. We are thankful for allowing us to present the ongoing and upcoming development projects of BCDA, which are included in the Build, Build, Build programs of this administration. And our presentation is centered towards the wonderful things that are happening in Clark. But first, we would like to give you a background about BCDA, where we are operating in the country. As shown on the slides, we are heavily present in Luzon Island, where our assets starts from Bonifacio Global City in Taguig and stretch all the way to Clark and John Hay and Poro Point. Our catchment area is more than 30 million Filipinos, so our projects have high impact to the population of the country. Next. So let's start with the Clark International Airport. This was recently completed and is ready for opening this soon. We are targeting an inaugural flight by December of 2021 and a full operation by February of 2022. So let me give you some features of this airport. First, this was done through a PPP arrangement between a private sector for the EPC construction, and for the operation, we got Lipad, which is a consortium of big developers of Philinvest and Robinson Land Corporation, PAGS, the ground handling services, and of course, as technical advisor and equity partner, Changi Airport Group of Singapore. This new passenger terminal boasts of more than 110,000 square meters of floor spaces. It has 18 aero bridges and a capacity of 8 million passengers per year, which can be upgraded to up to 12 million passengers. Okay, what we are proud about these terminal buildings, that when we conceive it, we already included some features which we've seen are adapting to the new normal brought about by as a response to the pandemic or the COVID-2019. Like on the screen, we can see the self check-in counters, which are using your phone by a QR code. You can check in your flights, so without the need also to touch the screen, and also you can also use the self bag drop for your luggages. So this is like ahead of its times. At the time we conceptualized the features of the airport. Showing on the screen is the picture where the president did a final inspection last July and did an actual testing on the check-in counters. And another important and welcome feature of this terminal building is that it has also contactless services like contactless dining. So you can see chairs present from your seat. You can order food and other services, and it can be brought to your seats without the need to do manual interface with the services in the airport. So it's really a safe feature for the passenger, an upgraded passenger convenience. Okay, next. And apart from the completed terminal building, the government is to make the Clark International Airport connected to and connected to Metro Manila. There's a train station currently being built in front of the terminal. The next slide will show the current pictures, and this is part of the Manila Clark Railway. So the government would want to make the Clark International Airport another international gateway for the country, and via this commuter railway project of DOTR, it will make travel between Manila and Clark in less than an hour. So right now, shown on the screen are the status of the project. Phase 1, which is from Tutuban to Malolos, is more than 50% present. And we can see that the Balagtas station on the ground, which was recently visited by Secretary Tugad, is more than 90%. And phase 2, which is from Malolos to Clark, is more than 32%. What's great about this project is that all the contract packages were already awarded and under full swing of construction. Okay? And then another important infrastructure which was present in Clark to make doing business more friendly and competitive in Clark is the Subic-Clark-Tarlac Expressway. So we are leveraging the airport facilities in Clark with the seaport in Subic, and they will be connected directly by this expressway. And with this expressway of ours, the SETEX, it gave rise to two more expressways in the north, the TPLEX and the CLEX. So moving the flow of goods and services in central, northern, and Metro Manila is much easier now with this infrastructure. And with the Subic-Clark Expressway, we are also the first expressway in the country which implemented an integrated toll management system with NLEX, where we are having more connections with other expressways in the country. And we're also making Clark directly connected to our other important project, the new Clark City, via this airport NCC road, which includes this iconic Sacobia Bridge. We intend to open this new connectivity between New Clark City and the Clark Airport by middle of next year. Okay, an important and smart features of this road is the presence of dedicated bike lanes. This is, I think, an important features which has a good impact moving on to the new normal, where people are doing more friendly outdoor activities. So we already plan at the start a dedicated bike lane, safe for our citizens, and also our roads are powered by renewable source of energy through solar powered lamps. And we also allocated in the future a mass transport alignment, be it BRT or LRT in the future. So you can see our roads are already incorporating smart and mass features in the design. Okay, so next. Another important infrastructure for our Clark development is the Subic-Clark Cargo Railway. This is the objective is to further reduce the cost of the flow of services and goods between Clark and Subic. And this is to be connected soon also to Metro Manila all the way up to Batangas Port. Okay? And another smart and long-term program of the government for Clark is mass transport. So the government, or we have been hearing for the longest time, BRT, whether a BRT can be a viable means of transportation in the country. And we've done that already in Clark via this Clark loop. And we've started these services for now for free since 2019 during the hosting of Southeast Asian Games in the country. And it has smart features where the arrival of buses are shown on each station and on the buses. So it's we've got a foreign consultant to do the operational design for this project, and we intend to expand this all the way to New Clark City and the surrounding cities and offer it to private sector under PPP arrangement. Another, as I told earlier, people have recognized the importance of outdoor activities and having Clark as a safe haven for these outdoor activities. So we've hosted a lot of activities, and Clark is doing a lot of bubble activities, including outdoor sports events, which is very safe for our citizen given these pandemic times. Okay. And another ongoing project by BCDA, which will have an impact to the overall broadband project of the government, is this high-speed internet infrastructure that we built together with Facebook. With the completion of the cable landing station in Foro Point, we are ready to receive more than 2 million Mbps of internet capacity, which can be used to increase connection speed in our economic zones, as well as to be shared to the government's agencies in Manila and elsewhere in Luzon to serve the underserved and unserved sectors in our country. And then we'll focus now on New Clark City. So these are the updates. So as shown on screen, we have the first phase of development. We have the government via the National Government Administrative Center. The first business partnership we have is with Philinvest. They're doing mixed use and innovation park. And also we have some initial government partnership via the Central Bank relocating in New Clark City, a Central Park works plan with the UK government, and 2 golf courses in between New Clark City and Clark Freeport Zone. So let's go on the details. So for the master plan of New Clark City, these are the different KPIs that we want to make sure are present in our development. So in each of our project and activities, the following from health, safety, education, and environment are given equal importance to make sure that our development is inclusive and environmental friendly. So for NGAC facilities, these are the completed facilities which we've used during the successful holding of the 2019 Southeast Asian Games. And we will continue to expand the government center given the government's trust to have all the government agencies to put up backup facilities in Clark. Okay, next. And to make sure that the industries that are present in New Clark City will have the sufficient and reliable and quality supply of labor, we have partnered with several learning institutions to train our young population and have them ready for partnership with industries that are going to put up businesses in New Clark City. So we have University of the Philippines, Polytechnic University of the Philippines, Technological University of the Philippines, as well as Philippine Science High School and National Academy of Sports, which during the recent Olympics, we've had record harvest of medals from gold, the first in 90 years, several silver and medals. So to make the grassroots development comprehensive, the national government is currently funding the construction of a 5-hectare National Academy of Sports in New Clark City, which will be operational in few months' time. So next, we're going to show the status of the construction. We are almost 50% complete, and this will be a good training ground for our young citizens in sports development. Next is the Central Bank, which got a 30-hectare site in the government center. They plan to move their minting facility from Quezon City to New Clark City. They're doing a detailed design activity right now and intend to start the construction by next year. And for our industrial and mixed-use development, PhilInvest is ready to receive the first locators and welcome the first partners in their innovation park. So we're going to show the status of the projects where they're gearing towards digital and green industrial partners, and which will be catering logistics and smart manufacturing. Okay, next. These are the actual photos on ground where our site is ready to receive locators. So we can see that the roads are complete, the facilities are all underground to make them resilient against any weather or climate disturbances. Other upcoming developments in New Clark City are the Hanlax Mountain Resort, where you've signed a contract with them for the development of a 440-hectare mountain resort, and they're starting with the construction of the first banyan tree in the country. And shown on screen are other upcoming partnerships with hotel companies. Okay. And next is the Sky Blue and CC Golf Course and Resort. This is with POSCO of Korea. They're almost done with their first 18 hole golf courses, as shown on the next slide. And they're ready to receive their clients by middle of next year. And another important project, which is for gearing towards smart and green developments in New Clark City, is this NCC Central Park, which is in partnership with the UK government. We've seen during this pandemic that people are aiming for outdoor activities. Here in Clark, the parade ground every day is filled with citizens, families doing outdoor activities because it's much safer than any indoor places. So with this Central Park, which we intend to start implementing by next year, are smart features from autonomous vehicles, smart parking and biking, and even monitoring of the water level of the park. So this is another exciting development that will be happening next year in New Clark City. So with that, we've shared you some of the developments in New Clark City. So right now what we can see is please continue to include and consider Clark in all your business plans in the country. So thank you very much and magandang umaga po.
Thank you, Joshua, for keeping us up to date. I know we look forward to doing our live events up in Clark. We always have enjoyed and always been in awe of everything that is happening up there. So thank you again, Joshua. And now for our next speaker is Joey Radovan. He is, his title is Vice Chairman of JLL Philippines. There's been massive rumors in the industry that he will soon take over as the country head of JLL. So this is an important new change for JLL in the industry. Joey is easily one of the nation's most senior real estate people. He's been many years in the key roles with Santos Knight Frank, CBRE, Colliers, also chairman of Cornet, the world's largest commercial real estate association, running their Philippine chapter. So yeah, a lot. So they've got a good guy in place here, if the rumors are true, Joey. So yeah, please welcome first time to this event for Joey. We're really glad to have Joey Radovan of JLL. Joey, the show's yours.
Thank you, Richard. Very kind words. Hi, everyone. Pleasure is mine. It's true that this is my first Asia Real Estate Forum, and I hope I would be able to give you some great insights, different but important. And you know, my presentation in the themes of the Filipino is worth building for, as long as we build green. And I think very timely in terms of the recent, COP conference on climate change. But before I start with that, I wanted to show you guys this slide where everyone is probably wondering how we're going to do after this pandemic is over. And I think a lot of the companies are very dependent in terms of the strategies that they will adopt relative to the next normal. And you can see that there will be different approaches here, from progressive, moderate, and conservative. I think this is with regards to how work from home is going to be followed by companies, whether you're a Fortune 500 or a local company. It's not a one size fits all. You'd have to figure out what is going to be good for you and what both your employees and management will adopt. Just some examples how we've moved, from the traditional workspace to the new workplace. And I think how we're going to look like the post-COVID workplace beyond 2021 would be a combination. Some companies would adopt work from home and others would not. I think, as I've mentioned before, whether you're a big financial institution or a back office or an ad agency, it's not going to be a one size fits all, and everyone has to decide in terms of what direction they're going to take. And this is pretty much very occupier driven. And I think why I started with this is the bigger concern is really the built environment, which is the buildings in itself. This one is what's inside. And so the next themes would be, the building. The big themes of the recent climate change conference, our head for global sustainability and energy service and ESG, Guy Granger, actually participated there. And he really focused on talking about the built environment and making it more sustainable. And this is really the core themes that I'd like to mention and focus on, because I think as we look at the next decade of Philippine commercial real estate, we're really talking about constructing, more buildings, whether it's residential, whether it's office. And then we also talk about the themes of infrastructure, more roads, more highways, more airports. These are all going to contribute to our carbon footprint. That's why I think this is something that we at JLL like to emphasize. So the good news is JLL is actually very active in this space. The World Economic Forum worked with us, and we actually produced a report last October 2021. It's out. It's called the Green Building Principles. This is an action plan for net zero carbon buildings. And, this outlines 10 key principles, as you've seen in the slide. It talks about calculating a robust carbon footprint of your portfolio, setting a target every year, measuring it, and recording your embodied carbon, how you're going to reduce that embodied carbon, energy optimization, how you're going to increase your use of renewable energy supply, maximizing renewable energy procurement, reducing emissions in your value chain, carbon offsetting, and equitable cost benefit sharing. Why is this important? I think, over the past 20 years in this industry, I've never really bothered to talk about, sustainability, the buildings, what it's made of, and actually what it consumes. Now, moving forward, I think the next 10 years for Philippine real estate, specifically in every aspect of commercial, industrial, and residential, it's no longer having a certification of LEED or Verde. It would also draw on the themes of what energy this building consumes, what kind of public transport does it support, and this is really going to be an exciting future for commercial real estate relative to how we're gonna adopt the planning for net zero carbon buildings. So just really covering some themes, the 5 key areas in the report, and as I've said, this report I will make available for everyone, just reach out. So the first one is really adopting a data-driven approach. This is really one of the steps, knowing exactly what you need to address. And I think one of the key areas that I mentioned is how technology is going to capture this data in buildings, which again is a very exciting topic to discuss. Number 2, setting goals along the journey. As you know, the challenge we're facing is enormous. Really, the 2030 date and the 2050 dates are all out there. We need to revisit if we're really going to make 2030 happen for the company, or is it going to be 2050? So that, I think, is strategic, and that would be a discussion per company. Tackling embodied carbon, this is this need to maximize emission reductions. I think this is, how you construct the building, how you occupy it, and as I mentioned earlier, the energy that it consumes. And again, these are very broad themes and longer topics to discuss. Focusing on clean energy. I think it's very exciting for the Philippines that what you've probably seen during the pandemic is the construction of more solar farms, geothermal power plants. And as you probably saw during the pandemic, companies like Aboitiz Power and AC Energy, they have been really investing in a lot of solar plants, not only solar farms, not only in the Philippines, but also acquiring in places like Vietnam and Australia to support, the development of clean energy for our future. Collaborating widely, I think this is also a great theme to talk about. It's not only us corporate real estate professionals, but also, energy professionals together with the builders and government agencies to help build policies. So what does it mean to formally adopt these principles? This means that companies should be pledging to implement these principles with any existing net zero carbon commitments on all their real estate assets. These principles and action plan will offer a path for delivery on your ambition to reach your targets. And this is going to be adopted by all companies globally. As emphasized through this action plan, urgency is critical. The 5 ways cities must follow in terms of these steps is to prioritize decarbonizing buildings and climate action plans. Again, another report that we have is JLL's Responsible Real Estate Survey. We would be happy to share this with you. Just reach out. Lean into partnerships, both the private sector and the public sector. I think companies like JLL has a lot to offer because of its global footprint and experience. We feel that existing buildings, the old ones, will be retrofitted instead of knocking it down and building new buildings. Again, another strategy that probably cities will adopt moving forward. Knowledge sharing, and there's a lot of knowledge out there, a lot of companies are offering these knowledge like IFC, World Bank, and the UN. And companies like JLL also will be working with a lot of our city governments to try and drive their sustainability strategies. And then last is the leverage on technology to progress decarbonization. JLL, through its JLL Technologies companies, will actually work with landlords to offer new technologies that measure carbon footprint and emissions, and also energy savings. So this is another report that I'm going to be sharing, the decarbonization of the built environment. 5 key themes. This decade is being seen as a tipping point in decarbonizing real estate. Number 2, companies are outpacing policymakers in their ambitions. Number 3, climate risk is now accepted as a financial risk. Number 4, retrofitting buildings is critical to meeting carbon reduction targets. And number 5, data is the single biggest catalyst for green progress. So as a parting shot, again, city governments will need to employ a wide armory of tools to decarbonize the built environment. Again, I emphasize our role working with the city mayors and governors to actually also drive legislation from an LGU level, not just on a national level. And this will require, teamwork. So JLL is out there to support, our local governments in driving sustainability to bridge the gap between intent and action. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Joey, for that unique presentation. You are looking at a very, different world. And you're very right. Everybody needs to be looking at this because everybody will be required to do this, both the international providers definitely, but also the local providers more and more. So, okay, thank you very much, Joey, and good luck with things in the future. You're going to have a busy year ahead for sure.
Thank you, Richard, and appreciate the opportunity to participate. And in the future, if we can go into a deeper dive session with the Asia Real Estate Forum community and have, I guess, more details in terms of what we're driving for the future of commercial real estate relative to sustainability, we would be happy to participate again. And I don't know if you visited the JLL office in next tower. When the time comes, I'll invite you because this is a showcase for us in terms of the future of sustainable commercial offices.
Joey, I have visited your office and it is beautiful. And I'm going to tell other people listening to this event, take Joey up. Okay, Joey, you might have a lineup of people, so be prepared. But take a look at their office. They have built it as a showcase, as future of work and all these kind of carbon neutral, all of this stuff. So it really is something to get ideas about how your own future offices will look. So Joey, again, thank you very much for being with us, and we look forward to having you with us many more times in the future.
Thank you, Richard. I look forward to catching up with you in person when the right time comes. Take care, everyone.
The REIT business, otherwise known as Real Estate Investment Trusts. This is a major development and pioneering opportunity for the industry and the nation. And to speak about that, we have a special guest, Maricel Brion-Lirio. She's president and CEO of Philinvest REIT Corporation. This organization is really at the forefront. They have created a large portfolio for their real estate investment trust. So let's all listen to this. And like I said, this is going to be a major part of the real estate sector. So I, in particular, really want to hear about this. So please welcome Maricel Brion-Lirio of Philinvest REIT. Glad to have you, Maricel.
Thank you, Richard, and thank you. A pleasant day to all attendees of the Asia CEO Real Estate Forum 2021, as well as to my co-panelists and colleagues in the audience. So it is a pleasure to be here today to talk about emerging trends as well as green and digital cities shaping the future of Philippine offices. So, a brief introduction of myself. My name is Maricel Brion Lerio, and I'm the president and CEO of Philinvest REIT Corporation, or PhilREIT for short. As you may know, PhilREIT listed on the Philippine Stock Exchange in August this year as the first sustainability-themed REIT. The outline of what I'm going to talk about today is on your screen. First, we talk about the current state of the Philippine office leasing business, how the recent world crisis has reframed our perspectives on the business, and what have changed in the Filipinos' way of working. Second, how the road of recovery looks like for the office leasing industry, and what would it take to bring us back to speed and attain pre-pandemic levels. Third, let me give you examples of what worked for us at Philinvest REIT, what helped us thrive, and what kept us afloat during these challenging times. Lastly, we will talk about the general market outlook for the Philippine office leasing business. So first, the current state. It's been nearly 2 years since the onset of the pandemic. Since then, the world has endeavored to bring economies back up to speed through reimagined offices, a renewed workforce, and a new ways of working. In a recent survey by Forbes, 53% of the working population stated that they experienced a new level of productivity during pandemic, while 33% of the workforce are now more discerning when it comes to choosing companies. Here in the Philippines, a significant chunk of employers heeded the call of our workers and adopted a more human-centric approach, putting particular focus on safety through increased sanitary measures such as disinfection, testing, and vaccination drives, among others. Working in the pandemic also opened up conversations about mental health and shaping how offices are now designed and operated. Next is the road to recovery. So how do we get ourselves back to speed or to pre-pandemic state? The accelerated vaccine rollout, particularly in Metro Manila, is leading indicator that the economy is headed for recovery. As of November 2022, as much as 94% of Metro Manila's target population are fully vaccinated against COVID-19. This is supportive of the main points we have identified. First of which is to gain back the confidence of our global locators. After all, it's the large BPO companies that lease out our office spaces, and this goes hand in hand with the nod of employees who are the main users of our facilities. And second, we must keep the business longevity of all our stakeholders in mind through green and digital initiatives. On gaining global locator confidence. During a time of relative austerity, every business decision counts, and companies leasing our spaces are more discerning than ever. The key in gaining locator confidence is by crafting a solid strategy that highlights the key strengths of the facility. According to surveys, location still tops the list of priorities for businesses and tenants, and rightfully so. There's little room for error as this time of economy. Hence, businesses would rather go for locations that are prime, strategic, and supported by infrastructure developments, ensuring transport, commutability, and overall community welfare. Next would be the grade of the buildings as given by trusted bodies such as Jones Lang LaSalle. Grade A properties are deemed well-equipped and future-ready in terms of power, capacity, redundancy, efficiency of floor space, safety, and readiness for high foot traffic, among others. Lastly, when it comes to getting the positive sentiment of potential locators, flexibility in leasing is key. Tenants will always want more from office space in terms of expansion options, adaptability, and the services provided. On gaining employee approval, employees are now the new customers, and the office spaces are the new hospitality. Office must-haves are changing. Future-proofing our office spaces will take new ideals into account. For example, healthy environments that are designed for safe social interaction. Inclusivity and collaboration are more desired. Employee approval will reap us benefits well beyond the confines of our immediate vicinity, as positive sentiments are posted online and good news now spread like wildfire thanks for the advent of digital communities. Innovative design is now mandatory, as well as reliable connectivity within office premises, thanks to digital transformation. Human-centric initiatives in the workplace are needed as well during a time of social distance, such as repurposed spaces for work-life balance and safer semblance of pre-pandemic lifestyles. On green and digital initiatives, lastly, as mentioned earlier, we must keep the business longevity of all stakeholders in mind through green and digital initiatives. A holistic neighborhood development inside and outside of office premises is needed, such as initiatives that prioritize safety of employees to and from work, as well as places that promote social and mental well-being near the office. This can only be done if the office is situated within a city that is well synergized and complete. Keeping energy usage efficient should likewise be a big priority, not only for cutting down costs, but also for reducing carbon emissions to help the environment. Finally, a digital ecosystem should be in place to ensure seamless living within not only the office, but the city as well. Apps that help people manage their time better, get to work earlier, as well as guide through the basics of everyday living are already a necessity rather than a luxury within a well-connected smart city. We now move on to the future of offices and what worked for us in Philinvest REIT. We often get asked, what kept you guys afloat during the pandemic and how do you thrive in challenging times? Here are some of the key features of PhilREIT portfolio that we have continuously worked towards what we believe should be the future of Philippine office spaces. On location and accessibility within smart cities. 16 Grade A PEZA buildings are located in Northgate Cyberzone in Philinvest City, Alabang, that offers a cohesive live, work, play, and learn environment. Northgate Cyberzone is one of the first PEZA registered IT parks in the Philippines, where the locators have free Wi-Fi access in public areas. The city also has its own fire station and a centralized command center. Philinvest City has excellent accessibility with 5 major highways servicing the South Metro Manila that lead directly into the property. It also has one of South of Metro Manila's largest multimodal transport hubs that makes it convenient for the workforce. Also attractive to the workforce is the affordable living alternatives within walking distance, including an upcoming crib dormitory in the city. On infrastructure and amenities, the buildings are supported by advanced infrastructure with 1400 kVA truck-mounted, PEZA-approved mobile genset as additional backup to the in-building gensets. Newer buildings have turnstile access control, elevator destination control, and face scanning visitor management systems. All our buildings are classified Grade A by Jones Lang LaSalle, a third-party multinational brokerage firm. On sustainability features, we are proud to note that Philinvest City, where Northgate Cyberzone is located, has received numerous awards for sustainability, such as the LEED version 4 Gold for Neighborhood Development Certification, which is the first CBD in the Philippines to earn such recognition. Philinvest City also features EcoLoop, which is the Philippines' first integrated electric-powered 24/7 public transport system. And newer buildings are LEED Gold certified for efficient building. Northgate is proud to be supported by the largest centralized district cooling system plant in the Philippines, operated by PDDC, a JV company between Philinvestland and NG, a top French cooling and heating company in the world that reduces energy consumption and carbon emission by as much as 40% and reduces about 11,500 tons of carbon dioxide per year through energy efficient operations. These sustainability features are sought after by multinational BPOs and ROHQ companies. Our sustainability thrust was recognized by the prestigious 12th Asia CEO Awards, where PhilRIP was hailed as Circle of Excellence awardee for Sustainability Company of the Year. On expansion option of tenants, unlike other developers that may only have standalone buildings, our tenants have an option to expand within the vicinity. Since we have a pipeline of Grade A buildings inside the PEZA IT Park that will be more cost-effective for the locators to connect. When a locator signs a project with their client, they need the space yesterday, and the ability for them to immediately expand is crucial in their businesses. On well-experienced and proactive property management service, we believe we have global tenants choose to lease Philinvest buildings due to the focused management service with centralized tenant feedback system, proactive repairs and maintenance monitoring, business continuity and resiliency planning, hands-on lease management that I myself negotiate directly. I meet prospective tenants personally in their site inspections. I negotiate and sign the contracts that harnesses a customer or tenant-centric personalized service. Proof of our strength is our strong history of lease renewals with 99% renewal rate in 2020. As of end September 2021, we have signed 90% of our renewals. This is a testament to the trust and confidence of our global BPO and ROHQ companies in Philinvest. On to my last topic, which is our general office market outlook. How do we feel about the office sector for the next half a decade or so? So in a nutshell, we believe that it will be an early adopter of change and a national driver of progress. The Philippines is one of the most attractive BPO markets globally. There are over 1.3 million people employed by this industry in our country. Based on the report of ITBPAP, the IT BPM sector grew by almost 2% in 2020, and they are cautiously optimistic to grow by 5.5% in revenues and 5% in manpower in 2021 to 2022. This bodes well for the office leasing business. We also believe that work from home is being implemented due to the pandemic. Work from home is not for everyone, as confirmed from feedbacks we receive from global locators and third-party multinational brokerage firms. The work from home arrangement has disadvantages such as unreliable internet connection, data breach, lower productivity due to distractions from home, mental health issues of depression, feeling alone, and the lack of community vibe that lowers their creativity. As the economy is opened up following the high vaccination rate, especially in NCR, we expect the volume of on-site work to ease back. We believe this is important and should be positive not only for the office leasing sector, but for the livelihood of many of the employees of our locators. On that note, I would like to thank Asia CEO organizers, especially to Mr. Richard Mills, once again for having me here today and letting me share some of my insights of the industry that I am very passionate about. Rest assured that along together with the management of Philinvest REIT Corporation, will continue to champion a better Philippines through world-class offices for decades to come. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Maricel. Now, Maricel, you work with a lot of premier organizations. I know some of the logos behind you, I think Capital One, Synchrony Financial, that are big employers in the country and provide a lot of real high value and high pay jobs. What are people like that saying and doing that you hear with their staff? Are they trying to move them back to the office? Or are they going to keep them at home? Or what are you hearing and seeing, Maricel?
So now with the very positive state of vaccination, as mentioned earlier, NCR is almost 94%. No? What I'm hearing from them is that they are moving back to their offices, no, on a per phase, albeit of course with the strict protocols that we are implementing, no, with AITF, DOLE, and DOH. So are they moving back? And they are actually more excited to go back to work in the offices.
Yeah. Okay. And your organization, I mean, I know, Maricel, we spoke briefly before this, and you and I both are working from our homes today, which is convenient, but how do you see it for your own organization? Are people gradually moving back, or what do you see on there?
We are actually moving back. We are doing a hybrid approach right now. Currently, some of our workers are 50% MWF and others are TTH. I mean, there's a schedule. But in the next coming months, we're slowly moving back to 70%, to 80%, and hopefully going back full force 100%.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you very much, Maricel. That was a lovely update on things. We look forward to hearing about a lot more for the future. And yeah, I've always really admired your Northgate, what do you call it, community, Northgate. I guess? Yes, there, and the work you and your people have done. So thank you again. That was Maricel Lirio of Philinvest REIT. Thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard.
Okay, great. All right, here we go with a highlight of the event. Dr. Bernie Villegas, certainly one of the most highest profile economists in the nation, with an economic update on the nation and how real estate fits into it. So please welcome Dr. Bernie Villegas, always a highlight of the event and a good friend. Thank you, Dr. Bernie.
Thank you very much, Richard. Greetings to all in real estate sector. You know, until about 2 weeks ago, before the data on the third quarter came out, I usually said in former briefings that there were two scenarios about the future. One, the short-term scenario, bad news. Second, medium term, meaning about 5, even good news. I said that because of the way we mishandled the management of the response to the pandemic, we would be the slowest recovering economy in Asia. That it may take us 2 years to get back to the level of 2019. But when all of us were surprised with the 7.1 growth in the third quarter of GDP, all of us had to change our tune. You know, most forecasts before the third quarter results were announced were anywhere from 3 to 4%. I, from the very beginning of this year, was saying that we'll not be able to grow beyond 4%. But for those of you who received the news that in the third quarter, despite all the lockdowns that we still had, the GDP grew at 7.1%. That definitely changed our minds. Because if in the third quarter, GDP grew already at 7.1%, you can just imagine what it will be in the fourth quarter, when we're already seeing what people call revenge spending. Just go to the malls today. Which means that at least in the fourth quarter, we may see a 10% growth. And that will definitely make the GDP growth in 2021 at least 5 to 6%, already approximating our growth rate before the pandemic. And so now I'm saying good news short term. By the second quarter of 2022, we can be back to our 2019 level. And by 2023, the economy will definitely be growing already at 6 to 7%. The way we were doing it from 2011 to 2019. And that definitely is good news for all sectors of the economy, including real estate. The engines of growth of that recovery in 2023 will be, obviously, the overseas workers. In fact, even in the height of the pandemic, they were hardly adversely affected. Last year, the remittances dropped only by 0.3%, and in the first half of this year, it was already growing at 3 to 5%. So you can imagine, next year, you will see a big growth in remittances, and that, as you know, is one major source of purchasing power of Filipinos for buying real estate products, especially what we call low-cost and economic housing. Anything between 1 million to 5 million. Those are the units that are going to sell like hotcakes. It may take some time for very expensive units, the high-end units, to recover its growth rate before the pandemic. I see that happening probably in 2023, 2024. But in general, housing will be on the road to recovery by the second half of 2022. Another source of big spending in real estate, as you know, is the second engine of growth, the digital sector, which includes that very big BPO IT industry that is generating $25 billion. All those 1.3 million workers, many of them still young, are looking for their first home. Add OFW, before IT, that's already about 15% of our GDP. Now, we also will see a lot of demand for real estate related to logistics, because that is another sunrise industry. As I'm sure you're seeing, this pandemic has given rise to a lot of deliveries. People are now buying things through the internet, and you need a lot of warehousing, a lot of transport. And so real estate related to logistics is also going to be a sunrise sector. Now, it may take time for the big malls to really recover their growth before the pandemic. People are still cautious about overcrowding, although, as you can see already, a lot of the markets, you don't see social distancing. But I think one thing about Filipinos, and that's very, very, let's say, strange, so to speak, because we're not supposed to be disciplined, but we're more disciplined now than the Europeans. As you know, the Europeans now are experiencing a fourth surge of the pandemic because they have not been keeping the protocols. You know, I like watching European football games. And once I was scandalized to see a match between Barcelona and Real Madrid, where there were 90,000 people in the stadium, absolutely no social distancing, and very few wearing masks. In my opinion, as was already announced by the officials of OCTA, it is highly improbable that we will experience that same surge because Filipinos are still wearing masks, keeping social distancing as much as possible, washing their hands. I think that is an asset that we should encourage beyond the pandemic. So I'm optimistic. I'm going to be willing to answer questions on this scenario, but I'm glad that this is the first major briefing I'm giving where I am exuding the optimism that people usually associate with what they call the prophet of boom. Thank you very much.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much, Bernie. Okay, back to being positive again. You got me worried earlier in the year. You're a bit negative, but now you're back on the positive side. So very good to hear that, Bernie, and thank you very much for being with us as always. And now for our final and keynote speaker of this event. Always a pleasure to have him, and always a very compelling and exciting speaker with lots of good information. Please welcome Secretary Art Tugade, the Secretary of the Department of Transportation. Glad to have you, Secretary, again, and so good to see you.
To my friend, the chairman of the Asia CEO Forum, Richard Mills, the officers and members of the Asia Forum, all the participants of the Asia Real Estate Forum, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Filipinos, magandang umaga ho sa inyong lahat. Last March, I was given the honor and opportunity to speak before the esteemed delegates of the Asia CEO Forum to present a comprehensive report on the transportation sector as the country's economy continues to endure the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. Today, we are all gathered here for the Asia Real Estate Forum 2021. It brings to fore one imperative, that there could be no real estate development, pure and simple, if there is no improvement on the transportation and logistics system. It stands to reason then that your invitation for me to participate on the Asia Real Estate Forum 2021 means reason, means depth, because I have to show improvements in the transportation so that it will augur well to your understanding of how we can grow the real estate in this part of the world. With the crisis situation beginning to finally ease off, where are we now? That is the basic question we have to answer. Ladies and gentlemen, despite and notwithstanding the challenges in the past months, our spirits did not falter. In fact, our earnest desire to provide the Filipino people an improved quality of life only grow stronger and very strong. Infrastructure investment remains an effective method of successfully stimulating growth, especially during the aftermath of an economic shock. That is why the Department of Transportation, the DOTR, and its attached agencies have been actively working to use this stimulus investment for sustainable recovery. Let us revisit what we have done in the Transportation Department in the four sectors that we are involved in, namely aviation, maritime, rails, and road. I will not do any duplication or repeat of what I have presented last March of this year, but rather I would like to focus on what has transpired from the last report in March up to this present as I speak. And so let us revisit the aviation and airport sector. Ladies and gentlemen of the forum, since the Duterte administration took over in 2016, we have completed 233 airport projects. I repeat, 233 airport projects. Some of this we inaugurated in the last 3 months. I have promised President Rodrigo Roa Duterte that I will finish the international airport in southern Luzon. Now, after 11 years of delay and 3 groundbreaking prior to this administration, we have finally inaugurated the Bicol International Airport last month. Many doubted. Many did not believe that we will complete. The DOTR quietly worked and endeavored to finish the project. And ladies and gentlemen of the forum, I'm happy to report that we have already completed the Bicol International Airport. This is a showcase of how the Duterte administration manage and implement projects. You can see from the screen the pictures of what it was when we entered and what it is today as I speak. And you can see indeed the dramatic transformation from nothing to something insofar as Bicol International Airport is concerned. Let me just highlight certain things about the Bicol International Airport. The Bicol International Airport is world-class. You can see from the picture it is fully operational. But one thing I would like to add, we have added the features that we have used at the Clark International Airport. And what is this? It is the contactless approaches. You register, you check in contactless. You register and you report your baggage contactless. In other words, it can compete with efficiency and safety insofar as check-in of passengers and check-in of cargoes are concerned. Let us go to another airport which we have completed, the Siquijor Airport. We have inaugurated this on 26 August of this year. The construction of the new passenger building and vehicular parking area of Siquijor. The capacity is 60 passengers at any given time, 22,000 per year, 6 times higher than its previous passenger capacity. If you will look at the screen, you can see a comparative of what the Siquijor Airport was when we entered and what Siquijor Airport is as we speak today. And can you see, Richard? It is a thing of beauty. Never did Siquijor imagine that their new airport will be something they can be truly proud of. Another airport which we have completed is the Catarman Airport. It's good that my staff is flashing on the screen the Catarman Airport as renovated and improved. We inaugurated this only on September 2 of this year. The airport projects included asphalt overlay, improvement of runway shoulder, improvement of the runway, and the rehabilitation of the passenger terminal building. Capacity, 50,000 passengers per year from a previous capacity of only 50 passengers per day. You will look again, the comparison between, I like doing this, Richard, comparing what the airport, what it is now, as we have improved and rehabilitated, and what it was when we assumed. Look at the video. If you look at the Catarman Airport when we assumed, it looks like a huge sari-sari store. But if you look on the video of what it is now, and this is a real picture, you can say the Catarman Airport really now looks like an airport where passengers, tourists, and mga kababayan and mga kasama natin ay talagang mag-e-enjoy sa Catarman Airport. Flash on the screen is the Mactan Cebu International Airport new corporate building and new runway. Let me tell you this, we were happy with Cebu International Airport when we inaugurated it. There was one runway, but our happiness would like to be more poignant, more firm, more strengthening. And so we are adding a second runway. Never before a second runway being implemented in Cebu. And so we will do this, and hopefully we will be able to complete this before the end of President Rodrigo Roas Duterte's term. Flash on the screen is the new office of the MCIAA corporate building. You know, if you will compare the offices of the Mactan International Airport and that picture flash on the screen, the 6-story building, you can see the great difference. So that people working at the airport now, people doing the support, and people doing the industry will now have the comfort and convenience of working on a high-class, world-class building. This is a building, 6-story building, that is equipped with modern equipment and facilities. Hopefully, as I mentioned, the second runway hopefully will be operational by April of 2022. Look on the screen. That is the General Santos International Airport. Look at the beautiful facade. The development included the expansion of the passenger terminal building, the expansion of the vehicular parking area, the apron, and the completion of the drainage and storm drain to make this structure really sturdy and firm. The capacity, 2 million passengers per year. This is double than its pre-pandemic capacity of 1 million. Plus on the screen is the General Santos Airport when we took over and the General Santos Airport now as I speak. Hindi ba makikita nyo yung malaking diferensya? Is it not that you will enjoy the great and dramatic difference that is being done and has been done and continue to be done at the General Santos Airport, South Cotabato? Let us take a look at Zamboanga International Airport. This was inaugurated on September 28th of this year. The projects included expansion and rehabilitation of the passenger terminal, the repair on the runway, the asphalt overlay, rehabilitation of taxiway, and we have put up a Zamboanga Airport Malasakit Hall as we have completed the Gender Anti-Discrimination All-Purpose Center. This is now the international Zamboanga International Airport, now ready for international operation. Continuing works are being done, and this is the continuing improvement on the runway as we will be still expanding the passenger terminal building. Again, look on the screen, the Zamboanga International Airport, what it was when we started our administration, what we did today, as of today, as I speak before the forum. There is really a dramatic change, changing the landscape altogether of Zamboanga International Airport, and like the other new airports, improving and enhancing the connectivity and mobility of the people in Zamboanga, of the people that visit Zamboanga, tourism, foreign and domestic alike. Have you heard of Camiguin? Richard, remember Camiguin? What a beautiful place. And so it moved us to really improve the Camiguin Airport. Flash on the screen is the improved Camiguin Airport with a capacity of 100,000 passengers per year compared to only 40,000 passengers per year before we joined. As you can see on the video, view it in the very scenic background. Isn't it, Camiguin Airport, a thing of beauty? But to see where we came from, look at the Camiguin then and the Camiguin now. There is a dramatic change altogether. So that if we are to excite people to visit Camiguin, either as a local visitor or a passenger or tourist, foreign and local, they will have to enjoy the comfort of the airport. And that is what it's all about. The Camiguin Airport will be a trigger to tourism. The Camiguin Airport will be a trigger to business. And if we have triggers for tourism and business, certainly it will augur well in transforming the real estate potentials and capacity of all the airports, all the places where we have improved the airports. The question, Richard, now is, are we done yet? Ladies and gentlemen of this forum, we are far from over. before we step down in 2022, we will inaugurate development projects in Biliran Airport, in Cuyo Airport, in Lingayen Airport this month, only for this month. Tacloban in December 2021, Busuanga Airport also in December of 2021, San Vicente Airport in January of 2022, and the Cotabato Airport in February of 2022, among others. So you will understand that the transformation of the aviation landscape in the Philippines is a continuing thing. Maybe at this time, Richard, you will ask, Tugade, why did you not run for Senate? Why did you not file your certificate for candidacy? The one reason which I would like to state now in this forum is I want to finish as much and as many projects as I could finish until the end of the term of President Duterte. And Richard, we are just talking here of around 7 to 8 months. I would like to maximize the improvement that we can do in the transportation landscape. Increasing capacity and expanding gateways is also one of our objectives. If I have to put up airports all over the place, and we will have to address the pandemic situation, my concept is we should open primary gateways instead of limiting the entry of balikbayans, seafarers, and overseas workers only at NAIA Terminal 1, 2, 3, and 4, and only in Clark and in Cebu. I said, if we are to accommodate the influx of incoming kababayans, improve and increase the primary gateways. And that is why I would like to inform the ladies and gentlemen of the Asia Real Estate Forum that we are already at a point when we will open even the Panglao International Airport in Bohol to accepting passengers, kababayan, overseas workers, seafarers, and foreigners, tourists alike coming to Panglao. Hindi na ho malilimit yan sa Clark, sa Cebu, at sa NAIA Terminal 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if we are doing this in Panglao, targeted also for inclusion on the expanded gateways is the Lawag Airport in Ilocos Norte. We will also establish one-stop shop there. Also to be included will be the General Santos Airport, the Zamboanga Airport, and already the Bicol International Airport as flashed on the screen. And so all told, this in capsule form and in concept form are the improvements which we have done in the aviation sector from the time in March when I spoke and up to the time now as I speak. And so we have taken a look at the aviation and the airport sector. The next we would like to present to you is or are the developments in the maritime sector. You know, Richard, ladies and gentlemen, we live in an archipelagic country. The DOTR maritime sector ensures that we are harnessing our maritime advantages so that in only 5 years, the DOTR and the Philippine Ports Authority PPA have completed a total, and listen to this, a total of 484 port projects. Never before in the history of the Philippines has so much construction been done in aviation and in maritime. Just in two sectors of the transport industry, you can say, and really say, and we are proud to say, that really the Department of Transportation has done highlights and has done good performance in the term of President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Included in the maritime improvements are the 7 port projects that we inaugurated simultaneously last month. And this include the ports of Maribojoc, Tacbilaran, Hagna, Ubay, Tapal, Talibon, and Loon. You can see on the screen how beautiful, the ports development we have done in the places of Maribohok, Tacbilaran, Agna, Ubay, Tapal, Talibon, and Luon. So that if you look at the comparison of what these ports were before they were rehabilitated, improved, and worked on, and you look at the ports as we have completed and rehabilitated them now, you can say, perhaps say, Richard, and I will accept it if you say, hey, you guys at PPA, you have done a good job. Yes, I think PPA and the Department of Transportation has done a good job. If there were improvements in Bohol, there was also improvement in Palawan. Palawan is another famous tourist destination. We have completed the development and expansion work at the Puerto Princesa Port. Look at the Puerto Princesa Port. Do you see the difference between what the Puerto Princesa Port when we assume office and what it is now? You go visit this so that you will be amazed and say, how beautiful Puerto Princesa. If Puerto Princesa is a crown jewel for tourism, it stands to rhyme and reason that we should improve the facilities of Port of Puerto Princesa, including its port, one of which is the Puerto Princesa Port, now flashed on your screen. If there are developments in Puerto Princesa, again, I would like to repeat at this time, I am just telling you the improvements that happened from March of this year up to now in a period of 3 to 4 months. And in that period of 3 to 4 months, you see the improvement at the Cantilan Port in Surigao del Sur. Look at the changes. Mas malawak at maganda ang Pantalan. Doble ang kapasidad nito para sa cargo handling. And so you inject an elixir of strength and vigor on the business potentials in the Cantilan Airport at Surigao del Sur. If we have improvements in Cantilan, there is also improvement in Siquijor Port. Remember earlier I presented to you the improvements in the Siquijor Airport. Marry the improvements on the airport with the improvement at Siquijor Port and look at the difference. If you improve the airport and the seaport, necessarily the resultant effect is development. Necessarily the resultant effect is improved mobility and improved convenience. There are also improvements in General Santos City in South Cotabato. I will abbreviate my presentation. Just look at the screen and see the difference. Before, when we joined, the place looked like a war-torn facility. But now, it is a facility that you can really enjoy and be impressed with. There are also improvements in Lucena Port. Again, compared Lucena Port from what it was to what it is. Hindi ba you can say, and you can say, Richard, yes, there are improvements all over the archipelago, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Look at the screen, the improvement on the Lucena Port. Is this the end? No. On Thursday, together with the President, we will be inaugurating 11 seaport projects only in Mindoro. Never before has this been done. We will be inaugurating simultaneously these 11 seaport. The ports of Balatero, Bulalakaw, Rojas, Mansalay, Bansud, Calapan, Abra de Ilog. Last on the screen is the enumeration of what we will inaugurate 2 days from now. And so you will feel the aggressiveness we would like to do in so far as improving the archipelagic landscape of the Republic of the Philippines. Flash on the screen are some improvements we would like to underscore. Have you been to Calapan, Port Oriental Mindoro, Richard? Do you know that in Calapan, we will be putting up a milestone project, 3,500 passengers capacity, fully aircon, fully developed passenger terminal. Capacity is 3,500 passengers at any given time. While we celebrate and say hurrah to Calapan Airport, this will be short-lived. You know why, Richard? Because soon in Zamboanga, we will be completing the Zamboanga port. Capacity, 4,000 passengers at any given time. In other words, we try to outdo our performances by getting better and better facilities. We are happy with 3,000 last year. Now it's 3,000 passengers. Soon it will be 4,000. And this is how we develop, again, the maritime landscape in the country. By the way, Richard, do you know that Coast Guard is also aligned and is working with the Department of Transportation? Yeah, the Philippine Coast Guard reports to me, and therefore allow me to make a submission on what we have done in the last 3 months at the Philippine Coast Guard. Flash on the screen is the first Cessna plane of Philippine Coast Guard. Together with the President, he visited and inaugurated the multi-role fixed-wing aircraft Cessna Caravan 2081 this November 2021. This will add capability and capacity for the Philippine Coast Guard as we improve the facilities. It's a very beautiful aircraft. The President was so impressed with what he saw, and he told me, Art, you better purchase 3 more. Maybe we can explore not only a single engine, but a twin engine. So this is one facility which we are introducing at the Philippine Coast Guard. I would like also to inform the members of this forum that we have also improved facilities all over the country. But let us speak of the lighthouses which the Philippine Coast Guard has completed in the last 3 months. It has completed 5 lighthouses, making it operational, not only improving the tourism sites of the country, but more importantly, improving and increasing the safety and security capability of the country by reconstructing and rehabilitating the Coast Guards in Palawan. Of course, in addition to improving the safety and security measures, the Philippine Coast Guard completed and inaugurated the new 2-story Western Visayas headquarters in Iloilo and the new Coast Guard station in Kalayaan. Certainly, this will boost the security and safety capabilities of the Philippine Coast Guard. Again, we are just talking here of what the Philippine Coast Guard has done in the last 3 months of this year. If I will enumerate all the performances of Philippine Coast Guard and all the achievements of the sectors in transportation, believe me, Mr. Richard Mills, this time will not be enough. We have also strengthened the workforce of Philippine Coast Guard. Listen to this. When we started Philippine Coast Guard, the manpower complement of Philippine Coast Guard is 6,400 in 2016. Today, the manpower and workforce capability of the Philippine Coast Guard is 21,000. You can imagine the expansion we have been undertaking in order to add and increase the numbers, the warm bodies of Philippine Coast Guard, to complement the various facilities which we have been undertaking. And so, we still have time, Richard? We have already done aviation, we have done maritime. Let's revisit railways. In our railway sector, we have been non-stop to deliver big ticket infrastructure projects so that bulk of our commuters will benefit from ease of mobility at the soonest possible time. With the aim of connecting Metro Manila to its nearby provinces, the massive north-south commuter railways is well underway. As you can see in the screen, the NSCR's first segment, the PNR Clark Phase 1, is making significant development in terms of its construction. So that if you will look very closely, at the video, you will say that the PNR Clark Phase 1 is not all talks. It is not all plans. It is now on the implementation and construction stage. Full operation is scheduled on the second quarter of 2024. This will reduce travel time between Tutuban and Malolos in just 35 minutes, from 1 hour and 30 minutes to what it is now. Capacity, 300,000 passengers per day. The first train set will be arriving in 2021. So that if we have the construction, if we have the train set, if we have the plans, and we have the funds, we can say with confidence that this project, the PNR Clark Phase 1, will be completed as we have scheduled. The second leg of the NSCR is the PNR Clark Phase 2, which will complement what I have reported earlier on Phase 1. The improvement Phase 2 will feature the country's first airport express service, connecting the province of Bulacan to Clark International Airport, and travel time will just be 35 minutes. And so you can see that what was dreamt of, to travel from Tutuban up to Clark International Airport, is no longer a dream. It will become a reality. Apart from the LRT to East Extension, which we have completed and recently inaugurated in July, we also have 2 more ongoing railway projects slated for completion this 2021. First is the Common Station, a concourse area that will connect 4 of our major railway lines. Second is the comprehensive MRT3 rehabilitation project. The much-awaited MRT7 is also set to be partially operable by April of 2022. The trains to be used in MRT7 have also arrived in September from South Korea. This is a reality that is happening. This is a reality that will happen. Indeed, the trains keep coming. The 12 train set for the MRT1 Cavite extension, composed of 48 light rail vehicles, have also been delivered to the Philippines. The Metro Manila subway, conceptualized back in 1970, did not remain as just a concept in the term of President Duterte. Now it is being implemented. Now this dream project proves to be a reality as the construction of its station are all underway. Early this year, the parts of the tunnel boring machine to be used for the subway's underground works have arrived in the Philippines. Before we step down in 2022, we will commence the construction work for other railway ticket projects, such as the LRT2 West Extension, the MRT4, the PNR Calamba, PNR Bicol, Subic Clark Railway, and Mindanao Railway projects. In total, our target is to increase the country's operational railway length from what it was previously to be 77 kilometers to, when we took over in 2016, to over 1,000 kilometers in 2022. When I say 1,000 kilometers in 2022, it involves the following composition: railways that are actually completed, railways that are under construction, railway projects that have been awarded so that it can now commence construction. Hopefully in due time, the 1,000 kilometers, when all the projects are completed, would have been achieved. Okay, let us now take a look at what we are doing with the road transport and infrastructure. Back in March, I have reported the infrastructure and development projects we are carrying out in the country's road sector, such as the establishment of EDSA busway and bus rapid transit system in other parts of the country. Today, I am happy to announce that we have already finished almost 500 kilometers of bike lanes in key cities in the country to promote active transport amid the pandemic. These cities include Metro Manila, Davao, and Cebu. We are also gearing towards the enhancement of pedestrian facilities along our main thoroughfare, EDSA, with the establishment of covered elevated walkways through the EDSA Greenways project. To better service the public and provide reliable agency processes, we continue to establish more satellite offices all over the country for license application, renewal vehicle franchise, and other transactions. Since July of 2016, the Land Transportation Office constructed, rehabilitated, and expanded a total of 112 offices nationwide, consisting of district offices, new extension offices, and driver's license renewal offices. Meanwhile, the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, LTFRB, has completed 4 building projects, including that of its central office. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have presented to you a generic presentation of what the Department of Transportation has done in a period of 3 months, only 3 months, from March when I was invited to speak, and now as I speak. And I think you will agree with me that the development and the construction and the improvement as done is going on a full phase. We will not slow down. The pace will continue to be faster and stronger as we end the term of President Rodrigo Roa Duterte in 2022. To say that we have achieved significant strides to improve the state of public transport infrastructure from where we were before, but to tell you honestly, there is still much work to do with only little time left. Rest assured that in the remaining months of this meaningful time, serving under the Duterte administration, we will exert all efforts to deliver what has been promised and fulfill what we have so desired. That is to make the Filipino life comfortable and convenient. When I joined government, President Duterte said, "Art together, please help make the Filipino life convenient and comfortable." By the projects we have completed and we will complete, we will put meat and meaning to the mandate of the President in making the Filipino life convenient and comfortable by improving connectivity, and mobility. And if we have convenient and comfortable life, if we have mobility and connectivity, then it can be said that we are also helping in the real estate program of the government. Then it can be said that we are also helping in triggering the upward surge of the economy after the pandemic. This is what we intend to do. This is what we expect to do. To all of you, thank you very much for finding time to chat and dialogue with me. I really appreciate. Art Tugade, isang kawani ng kagawaran ng transportasyon. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
Thank you very much, Secretary Art Tugade. After the term ends of the President Duterte, what do you? How can it continue though? There's still so much that you started.
Okay, if you want this thing to continue, basic. Put people in the government. This is election time. That will help continue the project. Look out for the candidates. That will help continue the project. We need them in government. Number two, in order to provide continuity, some of my people are staying behind because they managed to get civil service eligibility so that they continue with the project. So that we continue with the project, I have adopted the concept of partial operability. Since this project are already partially operable, the next administration cannot stop because people will see the effect of the partial operability. And this will augur well in making sure that there will be continuous operation in the projects which we have envisioned.
I see. Wow. And now, Secretary, I was under the impression you were going to run for senator and could help the process, but you've decided not to run for senator. Is that true?
There are multiple reasons why I have decided not to run for Senate. I have decided that in the remaining times, I would rather finish the projects that we have taken upon ourselves to undertake and complete. I feel that this is helping in the valedictory of President Rodrigo Roa Duterte in the term of the President Duterte. You know, he has done magic, he has done wonders. In the last 8 months, I want to be able to complete what can be completed so that we can add depth, meaning, and realization to what President Rodrigo Roa Duterte promised when he assumed the presidency in 2016.
Yes. Well, Art, you and your group has done 30 years of infrastructure, it seems to me, over the past 4 or 5 years. So a tremendous work you and your group has done is just so inspiring. I wish I could have you talk for another hour, but really, it really is fulfilling to see all that you have done. So thank you again, Secretary Art Tugade. Always a pleasure, sir, to see you.
You know, Richard, I appreciate your comment, but I would like it to be on record that whatever the OTR has accomplished and has done, please don't attribute and arrogate them all to me. These things happen because I have very good people at the department, the undersecretaries, the assistant secretaries, even the rank and file. All of them are so good. They made me look good with their commitment and industry. All these things happen because while we endeavor to work and perform, there is a leadership in the persona and person of President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. He gave us the authorities and responsibilities. He guided us and he steered us with the support and encouragement on a day-to-day. There are the members of the cabinet that are really pushing and pushing hard and helping me to accomplish all this project. Please, I beg you, Richard, don't arrogate and say all this project is all because of me. No, sir. It is all because of people that have decided to work and work together under the inspiration leadership of the President and the members of the cabinet. I would like to mention at this time, when I speak of cabinet members, to single out the help of my boss, the executive secretary, Mr. Medialdia. He has inspired and strengthened me no end. I would like also to mention at this time the help of Bongo, Secretary Bongo. He has supported and inspired us to do and perform a lot of other things. So that it can be said that whatever we've done is a convolution of the efforts, participations, leadership, and inspiration of many people. I am just one part of that group.
Fair enough, but I can tell you governments in virtually all countries have trouble getting work like this done, and yet you guys did it all through the pandemic. So Philippines is probably one of the best able countries to benefit from the upturn after the pandemic because of all of the infrastructure that has been done by you and your group. So really, it's really quite an achievement. And we really want to thank everyone at the Department of Transportation. So thank you again, Secretary, very, very much.
Let me just react to that, Richard. Just react, short. You know, when we performed despite the pandemic, it proved one thing: the resiliency of this administration and the desire and commitment of this administration to perform for the benefit of the Sambayanan, the people, and the country. It's all about resiliency and all about commitment for the sake of the Filipino people.
A tremendous job. And I'm upset, I'll tell you, that it's not being recognized as much as it should be in our media. That's just a bit of a disappointment I have. But again, thank you very much, Secretary, and keep up the fantastic work you and your group are doing.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you to all members of the forum. Maraming salamat po. Enjoy the forum.
Okay, thank you everyone for that engaging Q&A session. And to close the event, let's welcome back our friend Vince Abejo of Philinvest Land.
Hello again, everyone. I am Vince Abejo, the Chief Sales and Marketing Officer of Philinvest Land. I would like to thank you for joining us today at the Asia CEO Real Estate Forum. Over the past hour or so, you have all listened to a lot of talks, so I will be brief. But let me make 3 points before we close. First, let's allow ourselves to celebrate our achievements, our ideas, and innovations in all our efforts. We not only stayed afloat amid the pandemic, we thrived and became better strategists, leaders, thinkers, and most especially humans. Earlier, we heard our speakers discuss how the real estate industry stayed alive and kicking. We witnessed how every one of us came together to help our fellow countrymen bounce back and move forward. That, my friends, is worth celebrating. Second, we need to commit to sustainability. We talked about emerging customer behaviors, industry trends, blueprints, and our plans as the economy gradually recovers. These insights and solutions are not the ultimate outcomes of our work. They are only the beginning. I hope we find the resolve and energy to translate our work into programs, policies, and actions that deliver results anchored on sustainability. Finally, the only way to address the challenges ahead is the same way we have addressed them the past year, together. We are better together, and forums like this can only strengthen what we have already started. I would like to end with a quote from Barack Obama in his book, The Audacity of Hope, which I think is also fitting this coming holiday season. Hope. Hope in the face of difficulty. Hope in the face of uncertainty. The audacity of hope. In the end, that is God's greatest gift to us. A belief in things not seen. A belief that there are better days ahead. Thank you, and I hope you all learned so much. Keep safe always.
Okay, everyone, that was Asia Real Estate Forum 2021. And that was probably our longest and most intense event of the year because there's so much going on. So let's all work together for the new year. The Filipino really is worth building for and worth providing employment for. And real estate really is key with all of that. So Thank you again for being part of Asia Real Estate Forum 2021. We'll see you again in the new year.
Asia, see.